Rebuilding the Immortal Cultivation family. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 476, Clearing the Scene. So now, should we go find her? Zhao King was too lazy to think so much and asked directly. Since Li Zhirui doesn't want us to go, then let's not go. King thought for a while, and finally made up his mind and said, the secret portal has been opened, let's go directly. He didn't think so originally, but for some reason, as soon as he was about to say it, he felt a strong sense of uneasiness in his heart, as if a disaster was about to befall. If we go to find Li Zhirui, will we encounter fatal danger? Thinking of this, King's eyes showed a trace of worry. But whether it was selfish or cowardly, he couldn't take Zhang Fengwu, Li Zhirui and Zhao King to take risks. In fact, from the fact that Li Zhirui destroyed the positioning magic weapon, she knew what the result would be. But since she made this choice without hesitation, they could only respect Li Zhirui's decision and hope that she could return safely. Let's go. King ignored Zhang Fengwu and Li Zhirui's hesitant expressions, and said, then he controlled the spirit ship and flew towards the exit. Zhao King looked at King thoughtfully, but didn't say anything. He just silently raised a gust of spiritual wind and blessed the spirit ship so that it could fly faster. Why is there a sandstorm in the secret realm? Li Zhirui stood at the stern of the ship, staring into the distance with lifeless eyes. Suddenly, a striking yellow appeared in the ordinary mountains and rivers. Zhao King, go and take a look. Although Zhao King had never practiced pupil skills, his eagle eyes were his racial talent, and he could see farther and more clearly than Li Zhirui. Zhao King walked over silently, looking into the distance with her eyes fixed. After a moment, she said in a serious voice, that's not a sandstorm, but the dust raised by a large number of monsters running. What? Li Zhirui shouted in shock. This yellow sand that covers the sky. How many monsters must there be to achieve this? At least tens of thousands. Zhao King shook her head and said nothing more. She controlled the spirit wind with all her strength and increased the speed of the spirit ship again. Don't look. Everyone, control the spirit ship, King shouted urgently. We must get to the exit before the monsters, otherwise if we are blocked by them, we won't be able to get out. But Zhuanggu, although Li Zhirui and Li Zhirui were not that close, she was his elder after all, and it was impossible for him to watch her die and remain indifferent. Don't worry about Li Zhirui. Since she dares to stay, she must have a way to save her life. King said solemnly, what we have to do now is to leave the secret realm as soon as possible. Tells Heir what happened in the secret realm, and let him be prepared. He is very worried now. The demon clan is not only planning in the secret realm, but also setting traps in the outside world. If this is true, then Li Zhirui is in danger. After a gust of wind and lightning, Zhang Fengwu can already see the exit of the secret realm from a distance. Not long after, the four people came to the exit and then disappeared completely. It must be said that Zhang Fengwu and others are lucky. First, there was Li Zhirui's reminder, and then they saw the movement of the demon beast when walking, so they decided to leave the secret realm early. But other cultivators and the demon beasts in the Great Snow Mountain, some of them did not give up. And some regarded others as prey and still stayed in the secret realm. There are very few cultivators like Zhang Fengwu who left early. Many people didn't realize that there was a terrifying torrent in the secret realm, sweeping in all directions, and would destroy everything that blocked them. When many people noticed it, they had no way to escape. Because the exit had been blocked by monsters. Several third-level monsters and hundreds of low-level monsters blocked the exit tightly. Want to leave the secret realm? You can only force your way through. And now in the secret realm, no cultivator can do this alone. Just when the monsters were clearing the field, Li Zhirui came out of the gap where she was hiding after making sure there was no danger. Even though there were no monsters around Li Zhirui, she was very careful and walked into the valley very cautiously. Huh? How did you find this place? Suddenly, the space fluctuated like flowing water, and a fox came out of it. Li Zhirui's heart skipped a beat. She thought that there would be monsters staying in the valley to protect the spiritual medicines, but she never expected that the Link Su fox, who was supposed to lead the monster army to clean up the secret realm, was actually in the valley at this time. Since you don't want to answer, forget it. But don't speak again in the future. As soon as the voice fell, the Link Su fox escaped into the space again and disappeared. Li Zhirui held her life sword and carefully guarded the surroundings, but her steps did not stop. She moved quietly towards the inside of the valley, so that she could get spiritual objects at that time. Buzz! Suddenly, a barely detectable buzzing sound was heard, and the lynx fox suddenly appeared on the right side of Li Zhirui, but before she could do anything, she was forced to hide back by a sword. Although the lynx fox is in the late third stage, its combat power is not strong. It mostly relies on its talent to catch the opponent off guard. But facing Li Zhirui, who is covered with thorns all over his body, it is a bit difficult to start. The lynx fox hiding in the gap in the space has a very ugly face. It didn't expect that this cultivator had such a high combat quality. Li Zhirui can react quickly to the slightest movement, and then give it his sword, forcing it to retreat. During the battle, Li Zhirui had already understood the opponent's fighting style, and she was relieved. She didn't expect that a third-stage demon beast had such a poor fighting power. After thinking about it, she released the 3 mountain-guarding spirit beasts in the spirit beast bag and ordered, "You go and collect all the precious spirit objects in the valley. Be careful not to hurt the roots of the spirit objects, so as not to fail the transplant." When lynx fox saw this scene, his eyes were instantly filled with anger. He didn't expect that one day he would be humiliated like this. But he suddenly found that he really couldn't do anything to the opponent. Unless he was willing to use his trump card to save his life, he was not Li Zhirui's opponent at all. But if he used his trump card, it would be a bit of a waste. So, lynx fox was caught in a dilemma. Li Zhirui didn't care so much. While being carefully on guard, he sealed the spirit objects dug out by the mountain-guarding spirit beasts. "Why are you the only ones out? Where are Zhirui?" Li Zhirui glanced at the spirit ship and frowned. While asking, he took out the fate tablet and took a look at it. Daking did not speak, but just shook his head, indicating that this was not the place to talk. Chapter 477 Calculation. Li Zhirui frowned, and took Daking and others back to the spirit ship. At the same time, in order to avoid the exploring eyes of others, he cast a spell to cover the spirit ship and isolate the inside and outside. "Can you tell me now? What happened?" Li Zhirui asked anxiously. "Did you not find Zhirui, or was it for some other reason? Why didn't she come out with you, Brother Jiu? It's like this." Daking organized his words and then continued, "We went to find Li Zhirui, but on the way, she destroyed the positioning magic tool herself. Then we discussed it and thought that she might not want us to find her. Considering that the secret realm is indeed very strange, we thought about just coming out." When Li Zhirui heard this, his doubts increased instead of decreasing, but seeing that Daking still had something to say, he did not interrupt, intending to wait until he finished speaking before asking. "As a result, when we were leaving, we really found a large group of aggressive monsters." Daking paused and said, "If we are not mistaken, the direction from which the monsters came is exactly where Li Zhirui is. In other words, if they did not turn around and leave at that time, but chose to continue forward, they would have a high probability of encountering this group of monsters. Fortunately, up to now, Li Zhirui's life card is still intact, which means that she is not injured. Tell me about the situation in the secret realm first." Li Zhirui had too many doubts in his mind, so he could only ask them one by one and wait for their answers. The Taixu monster tribe had already made some arrangements in the secret realm. After we entered, we did not find any precious spiritual objects or monsters at all. As Daking narrated, Li Zhirui gradually understood what they were talking about. But this gave rise to another question. "According to what you said, why did the monster tribe wait until the portal was opened again before attacking you? You know, if they attacked before, you would have nowhere to escape." Yes. Why is this?" Daking and the others were stunned for a moment, their expressions were dull, and they didn't know what to say. It seems that the demon clan has other plans, but until now, there has been no clues, and they can't find any clues. Li Zhirui is now very helpless, and can only say that he will take it one step at a time. If he had known earlier that this secret realm actually contains so many traps, he should not have been greedy and accepted Shanli Mountain's invitation to bring his people to participate from 1,000 miles away. It's a pity that there is no such thing as knowing in advance. These days, everyone should be careful. It's best not to leave the spirit ship, and then observe the movements of the demon clan more, Li Zhirui urged. The former is convenient for escaping immediately, and the latter may be able to observe some movements of the demon clan, giving them some inspiration and clues. Everyone nodded in response. Brother Jiu, Should we tell Shanli Mountain and Zunbing sect about this matter? Daking suddenly asked. If they did, it would also be a reminder for them to better deal with the calculations of the demon clan. However, Li Zhirui thought of another bad aspect, that is, when the danger comes, the two forces may use them as shields. After all, Li Zhirui and his team are the weakest and most easily controlled. Let's not talk about it for now. Let's see the situation first and then decide. After thinking it over, Li Zhirui didn't really believe in their character. But this is normal. After all, it's better to die than to die. Who would refuse to sacrifice others to save themselves? Maybe, but it's definitely not Shanli Mountain and Zunbing sect. No wonder when we joined forces with Shanli Mountain to force the demon clan, we didn't see the two 4th level monsters of Taeksa demon clan show up. Even later, Daxu Mountain sent several 4th level monsters over, but we didn't see them show up. Zhang Fengwu suddenly remembered this strange thing, and suddenly realized it, saying, it turns out that they have already calculated it, and they are not worried that we will destroy their plan by entering the secret realm. Li Zhirui was stunned. He had noticed this before, but thought they had other things and couldn't get away. Or they felt that it was 2 against 2, and it would be hard to tell who would win in a short time. After the secret realm was opened, they would have to give in. Rather than lose face, it would be better not to show up and save face. But now it seems that the demon race had already planned this. Outside the spirit ship, Yunlei and several Yuanying's engine of Zunbing sect saw the actions of the Li family. The female swordsman is missing? Could it be that she died in the secret realm? That's why she left the secret realm at the first time, Yunlei thought silently, but he felt it was unlikely. Because when Li Zhirui and Dakwing and his group had a brief contact outside, he did not show any sadness or shock. But then they forgot about the situation of the Li family. Because the life cards in their hands began to break on a large scale. At the same time, in the secret realm, the massacre of the demon race was in full swing. Tens of thousands of demon beasts rushed towards one or several giant cultivators. In the absence of formation defense, the giant cultivator would definitely be the loser. Of course, they could choose to escape, but don't forget that there are still many 3rd level monsters in the beast tide, and their existence greatly increases the danger level of the monks. Some monks were not very lucky and were directly surrounded by the beast tide. In just a moment, they were devoured by blood and flesh and became a skeleton. But some monks were lucky enough to discover the beast tide and advance and hide carefully. What's going on? Why did the monsters suddenly go crazy? All the surviving monks were filled with panic and fear. We can't stay any longer, it's too dangerous. We have to leave as soon as possible. But when they came to the exit of the secret realm and saw the group of monsters, they fell into deep despair. They now regretted why they didn't leave earlier when the secret realm was opened, and they wanted to harvest more spiritual objects. As a result, not to mention spiritual objects, even their lives can't be saved. Everyone knows the current situation, so I won't say any more nonsense. The speaker was a lay giant monk from Zunbing sect named Jin Dacheng. In order to solve the current dilemma, the monks began to eliminate their conflicts and planned to join forces in order to break through the group of monsters at the exit and escape. There were only 5 monks present, 2 of whom were from Shanli Mountain, and the remaining 3 were giant from Zunbing sect on the monster side. There were about hundreds of low-level monsters surrounding the exit, and there were 7 3rd-level monsters in the middle, and they were the main threat. Chapter 478, Hatred. Obviously, our current strength is far inferior to that of the monsters. It is not easy to break out of the siege and escape from the secret realm safely, Jin Dacheng said earnestly. I believe everyone has the means to contact fellow disciples. I hope everyone can contact them as soon as possible. I am worried that after a while, there will be more and more monsters. It will not be so easy to escape at that time. Brother Jin is right. At this critical moment, I hope everyone can put aside their past grudges, unite and cooperate, and then leave safely. The other 2 Zunbing sect monks quickly agreed and supported Jin Dacheng's idea. Although the remaining 2 were unwilling to be led by the Zunbing sect, they were now strong and could only bow their heads and wait until all the monks arrived. For a while, the 5 people showed their magical powers and contacted their fellow disciples. Soon, they gathered a large number of giant monks, more than a dozen people. This power can easily pass through the monsters surrounding the exit. The 3rd-level monsters did not stop for long before they were rushed out by the monks. Finally escaped. This was the first sentence all the cultivators said after leaving the secret realm. What happened in the secret realm? Why did such a large-scale fall occur? But before they could breathe a sigh of relief, their own nascent soul true lords surrounded them and asked with a gloomy face. I don't know why the demon race suddenly went crazy and slaughtered the cultivators. We were able to escape because we reacted quickly and rushed out before there were too many demon beasts at the exit, but even though they had just come out of the secret realm, they were not very clear about the situation inside. They just told their own discoveries. Several true lords were angry, with angry flames burning in their eyes. They looked at each other and decided to join forces to find trouble with the demon race. It's time to go, Li Zhirui said with some regret as she looked at the valley in front of her, which still had a large number of spiritual objects. It was not that she was unwilling, but the space magic weapon in her hand was already full, and there was no other way. After all, in the entire valley, there was only the third stage late stage Link Fox. Its strength was too weak and it could not pose a threat to Li Zhirui at all. You know, Li Zhirui originally thought that she would risk her life and death to quickly steal several spiritual objects in the valley, and then go through a big battle before she could get away. The actual result was completely different from what she imagined. Li Zhirui had enough time to collect every kind of spiritual medicine, as long as she was a little bit on guard. But just when she was about to leave, the spiritual fox suddenly appeared and asked abruptly, "What's your name?" Li Zhirui frowned slightly. She knew that she was remembered, and the other party wanted to find her to avenge the previous shame in the future. If it was other cultivators or other creatures, Li Zhirui would definitely try her best to kill this threat, but the other party was a gifted spiritual fox. Even if its combat power was very poor, it could hide in the space at any time, and Li Zhirui couldn't do anything about it now. Li Zhirui, it's not that she didn't want to hide it, but she couldn't hide it at all. After the other party left the secret realm, he asked around and found out Li Zhirui's identity. After all, female sword cultivators are very rare in the entire Zuinitan realm, not to mention in the nearby states. Li Zhirui. I remember it, Link Fox said coldly. My name is Hu Linghuan, remember it, because soon, this name will take your head, tisk. Li Zhirui didn't say much, just sneered, then controlled the spirit sword and left the valley calmly. It's not that Li Zhirui is arrogant, but Hu Linghuan's combat power is too poor. It's impossible to improve to a level that can threaten her in a short period of time. Unless Hu Linghuan can break through the 4th level and suppress Li Zhirui by force with his cultivation. But breaking through the 4th level is not that easy. So Li Zhirui didn't take this matter to heart at all. I hope you can still laugh when we meet next time. Hu Linghuan's face was gloomy and terrible. Li Zhirui rushed all the way and came to the exit not far away, looking at the portal surrounded by many monsters. Maybe we can just rush over? Catch them off guard. Li Zhirui sometimes had some whimsical ideas. Of course, she knew it was impossible. Fellow Taoist, we are planning to break through the siege together. I wonder if you are willing to join. Li Zhirui, who was observing the monsters, was also spotted by others. Okay, Li Zhirui agreed very readily. But because there were not enough people, they could only wait. After several days, they finally gathered more than a dozen monks and ventured into the group of monsters. There was no problem in the front, but a monk was suddenly trapped by several monsters. Fellow Taoist, save me. I am willing to give you all my wealth for hundreds of years. Please, fellow Taoist, save me. The closest to him was Li Zhirui, but she seemed to have not heard it and continued to fly forward. It was originally a temporary team. Everyone had only known each other for a few days and was not familiar with each other. In Li Zhirui's view, she did a good job not to add insult to injury. How could she risk saving him? You are so cruel. You are not willing to lend a hand. I curse you. Li Zhirui always ignored this kind of dog-barking voice and continued to sprint forward. After a moment, she was completely immersed in the light curtain. After a dizzy moment, Li Zhirui successfully left the secret realm. Zhirui. Li Zhirui noticed her at the first time and immediately took Li Zhirui back to the spirit ship. Before others could ask, they heard Li Zhirui urging, Brother Jiu, hurry up, let's leave here first. Okay, Li Zhirui did not waste time and personally drove the spirit ship, wanting to leave Taixizhao as quickly as possible. In fact, when he went to Shenlai Mountain with the Zuanbing sect to find trouble with the demon clan, he planned to leave, especially after the two families came to him together to win over the Li family and fight against the demon clan together. But Li Zhirui had not come out, so she waited until now. Why did the Li family leave suddenly? Everyone else noticed the movement of the Li family and looked up. Yun Li's Hunjin frowned, not knowing what he was thinking. He always felt that the Li family should know something, but the previous test had no results. But today, they suddenly left, which made him feel that his guess was correct. But now that everyone was gone, he couldn't ask any more. After all, so many giant cultivators died in Shenli Mountain. The demon clan had to pay something, otherwise it would be a huge blow to the sect's morale. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 479 Fighting. Hurry up, the secret realm is about to close. If you don't leave now, you will have to wait for 100 years in the secret realm before you can leave. In the last few days before the secret realm was closed, both the monks and the monsters were excitedly running towards the exit. The fastest movers were naturally the monsters guarding near the secret realm. However, the continuous monsters made the expressions of several Yuanings Henjin gloomy and terrifying, and they could hardly suppress their anger. At this last moment, let me give you a big gift. Hu Linghu looked at the last group of monks in the secret realm, and a cruel smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. The next moment, it disappeared without a trace. When he appeared again, he was followed by more than a dozen third-level monsters and a large number of earthly monsters. And their destination was exactly where the group of monks were hiding. "We were discovered by those damn beasts," a monk shouted in horror. Several monks were panicked and didn't know what to do now. Now we can only take a risk. Life or death depends on today, there is no way. If they stay, they are doomed to die. They have no other choice. Unfortunately, facing the siege of the monsters and the large number of monsters, the cultivators are no match at all. After struggling for a while, they died unwillingly. And their death is also the fuse that ignites the anger of several Yuanings Henjins, such as Yun Li. "Aren't you too much? Do you have to kill them all?" a certain Zhenjin roared angrily. "Life and death are determined by fate, and wealth and honor are in the hands of God. Isn't this what you humans say? Besides, how can we kill them all? Aren't there still many cultivators alive and well? Who can they blame for their bad luck?" The monsters are naturally happy to see the human race suffer a setback, and said with ulterior motives, "Besides, their death may not be related to us. After all, who doesn't know that the human race is the race that likes internal fighting the most, you flat-haired beast? You are looking for death?" A hot-tempered Zhenjin was so angry that he took action directly. Although the fourth-level monsters reacted quickly, many monsters still died. Seeing this, the monsters, who already had a deep hatred for the human race, could no longer bear it and attacked without hesitation, using all kinds of killing moves. "Since you want to die, I will grant your wish." Logically speaking, Shenli Mountain and Zuanbing sect, which had already suffered heavy casualties, should not have fought a war with the monsters at this time. At least they should have summoned more monks, not to say that they had an advantage, but at least they were evenly matched. But now, they have been set up here. If they don't fight, it will be a huge blow to their morale and confidence. The two sides are evenly matched in the Yuaning battlefield, but in the giant and even lower-level battlefields, the monks are completely at a disadvantage. But even so, the battle will not end in a short time, but if it continues like this, the monks will be defeated. Unknowingly, the portal of the secret realm was closing little by little, and finally scattered into a sky of spiritual light and disappeared completely, in the secret realm. At the moment when the portal of the secret realm was closed, Hu Linghuan suddenly appeared from the gap in space, looked at the empty front, and said excitedly, "Next, this secret realm belongs to me." Why did it wait until the portal of the secret realm was opened before summoning the monsters to take action? In fact, it hoped that some cultivators could escape, thereby causing conflicts between the cultivators and the monsters, and even triggering a war. Because only in this way, the monsters will not notice Hu Linghuan, giving it enough time to annex this secret realm. That's right. It's annexation. Everyone knows that Linksu Fox is a rare space-based spirit beast, but few people know that Linksu Fox has a small portable space when it is born. And the space is the root of Linksu Fox, which is similar to the Danshan that is extremely important to cultivators. If Linksu Fox wants to grow, it needs to find a way to make the space bigger, but those spiritual objects that can expand the space are very rare. After all, not all portable spaces can expand by themselves like Li Zhirui's, as the cultivation level increases. And there is another way to expand the space, that is to annex other spaces. In fact, this method is more difficult, but there is a secret realm in Texas how, and it is a secret realm coveted by various forces. Among the only 2 4th-level monsters in the Texu monster clan, there is a 4th-level Lingsu fox. It saw this opportunity. It planned to take advantage of the opportunity of the opening of this secret realm to let its offspring Hulinghun annex this secret realm, so as to successfully break through the 4th level. In fact, at the beginning, the Texu monster clan only planned to collect all the spiritual objects and did not force to kill the monks. It was only later that they changed their minds and needed to provoke conflicts between the monks and the monster clan, so they slaughtered the monks. Why did Hulinghun calculate the monster clan? The reason is also very simple. That is the secret realm. A 3rd-level secret realm is very precious and can bring very rich harvests to other monsters, but if it is annexed by Hulinghun, they will have nothing in the future. In this case, how could those monsters agree? Even if Hulinghun had the support of a 4th-level monster, it would be impossible to advance this matter. So they can only do it secretly, and make it a done deal, so that Hulinghun can break through the 4th level. By then, even if other monsters are dissatisfied, it will not affect the overall situation. And the current situation is going according to Hulinghun's layout. The human race and the monster race are in war, and no one cares about the secret realm anymore. Li Zhirui, I will make you pay double for the humiliation you have given me. Hulinghun's face suddenly became distorted and hideous, and he said in a grim tone. From birth to now, because it has an elder who is a 4th-level monster, it has grown up smoothly and has never had such a great humiliation. So Hulinghun cares about this matter very much, and he is thinking all the time to eliminate all the creatures who know about this matter. 2 flowers bloom, each showing its own beauty. On the spirit ship where Li Zhirui and his party are. Tell me, why did you stay in the secret realm alone? Li Zhirui asked. You discovered something by accident, didn't you, Brother Ji? You guessed correctly. After I entered the secret realm, I accidentally discovered a valley. In addition to a large number of spiritual objects, there are also tens of thousands of monsters. Li Zhirui did not hide her admiration for Li Zhirui. It was obviously a very dangerous thing. If the monsters accidentally discovered it, I'm afraid there would be no Li Zhirui now. But when Li Zhirui said it, it seemed extremely calm and not worth mentioning. Chapter 480 Harvest. So you stayed in the secret realm, planning to venture into the valley and obtain the spiritual objects there? Li Zhirui immediately grasped the core of the problem. As for why he didn't say that Li Zhirui's actions were too dangerous? Because the matter has already passed, what's the point of talking about it now? And looking at the tone of Li Zhirui's words, it is not difficult to guess that she has gained a lot this time. Facing such a great hero, Li Zhirui couldn't say those unpleasant words. In fact, the valley is not as dangerous as I imagined. There is only 1/3 level late-stage Lingsu fox in the entire valley. Although its cultivation is higher than mine, its combat power is very poor. Li Zhirui showed a sense of confidence on his face, and said, if I can't hide in the space at any time, I might be able to cross 2 realms and kill it with my sword. Others showed a trace of shock and disbelief on their faces. They never thought that there would be such a 3rd-level monster with extremely poor combat power, as Li Zhirui said. But Li Zhirui knew that this was impossible. Li Zhirui and others may not know the identity of the Lingsu fox, but he knows that there is a 4th-level big monster standing behind it, and there will definitely be something to save his life. When you left, was it still in that valley? Li Zhirui nodded and said, it was still there. It even asked for my name. It might want to take revenge on me in the future. Li Zhirui didn't take this little thing to heart. He didn't dare to say how powerful he was, but at least he could keep his family safe. A late 3rd-level demon, Li Zhirui was not afraid even if he had a 4th-level demon as a backer. He now had the strength. Just tell me now, what spiritual objects did you get from the valley? Li Zhirui's eyes showed a hint of expectation and excitement. That valley is the place where the essence of the secret realm is gathered. There must be many precious spiritual objects in it. Hualala. Li Zhirui waved his hand, and a soft white light flashed before everyone's eyes, followed by the sound of objects falling. Zhang Fengwu, Li Chengru and others stared at the pile of jade boxes that had formed a small mountain in front of them. Are these the spiritual objects that you, Zhuanggu, got from the valley? Only Li Zhirui, Taking and Zhaoqing were in a better situation. After all, they had also seen the world in the space. Yes, in fact, there are still some, but I really don't have any jade boxes, so I can only put them directly in the storage ring. Li Zhirui inadvertently showed off again. This was because she had specially prepared a lot of jade boxes for the secret realm, otherwise, Li Zhirui would not have any extra jade boxes. Hurry up, everyone, take out the empty jade boxes, doing so is to hope to extend the vitality of some spiritual objects, otherwise, by the time they rush back to Banyan Island, I'm afraid that many spiritual objects have already died. You know, Li Zhirui waited for several days in the secret realm in order to have more cultivators so that they can leave the secret realm more safely. The most precious one among them is this 4th level spiritual medicine, but I can't recognize what it is. As he said this, Li Zhirui took out a jade box and handed it to Li Zhirui. Of course, the Li family has an atlas of various spiritual objects, and everyone must remember it. Otherwise, if the clan members go out to practice, they don't even know the spiritual objects, how can they bring back good things? However, Li Zhirui didn't recognize the spiritual object she encountered this time, so she could only use other methods to roughly determine that it was a 4th level spiritual medicine. Li Zhirui scanned it with his spiritual sense, and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. He seemed to have seen this spiritual medicine somewhere, but he just couldn't remember it. After recalling for a long time, he remembered the origin of this spiritual medicine. In the inheritance of the family's Wanling Sutra, in addition to the exercises, there are also records of various spiritual objects and monsters, including the 4th level spiritual medicine they saw today. Stone blood grass. Li Zhirui recalled it carefully for a long time before saying, its main medicinal effect is to strengthen the body. It seems a bit useless for the Li family, but in fact it is quite useful. Although it is not a physical cultivation, a strong body is also a good thing. For example, most spirit beasts fight with their true bodies, so stone blood grass is also a very good spiritual medicine for them. Even if the cultivators do not take it at that time, they can give it to the spirit beasts to strengthen their bodies. Next, they found several spiritual objects that Li Zhirui and others did not know, and even Li Zhirui did not know all of them. Too amazing, you have made great contributions in this operation. I don't know how many spiritual stones you have saved for the family, Li Zhirui praised sincerely. They have hundreds of jade boxes in their hands, but now only a dozen are still empty, and the others are all sealed with various spiritual objects. Among them, the 1st and 2nd level spiritual objects account for the largest proportion. This is because Li Zhirui selected them and tried to exclude the family's ones as much as possible. Otherwise, this part would be more. There are only a dozen or so 3rd level spiritual creatures. The varieties are not many, but the number is not small. After all, if there is only one plant, it will take too much time to cultivate it to a certain scale. Needless to say, there is only one 4th level spiritual creature, the stone blood grass. This is the result of Li Zhirui's inspection. If you need anything in the future, just tell the family. The family will definitely do its best to satisfy you. Although Li Zhirui has long stopped intervening in family affairs, no one can ignore what he said, let alone dare to ignore it. After several hours of flying, Li Zhirui and his party returned to Banyan Island smoothly. The first thing Li Zhirui did was to summon the family's spiritual plant husbands to plant those spiritual species with lower grades. The remaining 3rd level spiritual creatures and the only 4th level spiritual medicine stone blood grass were handed over to Li Zhilian to take care of personally. Are you all arranged? Now you can tell me what happened in the secret realm, and why so many spiritual creatures were brought out. Li Zhilian couldn't wait to pull Li Zhirui to ask. These were all brought back by Zhirui alone. They have nothing to do with us. Li Zhirui motioned Li Zhilian to talk about her experience. The family will record your contribution points one by one, Li Zhilian promised. At the same time, the family will meet one of your conditions, of course. The premise is that the family can complete it. In the face of such a great contributor, the Li family must of course express something. Otherwise, when the family members get any good things from the outside world in the future, they will not think of handing them over immediately. Li Zhirui didn't know what she needed for a while, so she said, I haven't thought about it yet. I'll ask the family for it when I think about it. No problem. The Li family is living a peaceful life and reaping a lot of rewards, but Shenli Mountain and Zunbing sect are in trouble. Faced with a continuous influx of demon reinforcements, the cultivators are already a little overwhelmed. Chapter 481, Winning Over. It was 2 months later when Li Zhirui heard the news of Shenli Mountain again. During this time, Li Zhirui was doing one thing, which was to transplant the various spiritual objects that Li Zhirui got from the secret realm into the space to expand his collection. As for the excuse, it was easy to find. Li Zhirui only said that he would classify the spiritual objects and register them to see if he could get inspiration from them and create a new pill formula. No one would doubt why he did this. However, Li Zhirui did not lie. He did have a lot of inspiration in the process, such as using the 4th-level spiritual object Shixukeo as the main medicine, and coordinating with various other spiritual objects that replenish essence and ki to refine the essence in blood to strengthen the body. Of course, these are just assumptions. Whether they can succeed or not, we have to experiment to know. In addition, there are several 4th-level spiritual seeds that Li Zhirui got from Yunlei. After being nourished by the space, they all germinated successfully, because Li Zhirui did not have many spiritual stones in his hand, so he could not induce birth. So it is not clear what kind of spiritual object it is for the time being. The only thing that can be confirmed is that they are not spiritual medicines, but some kind of spiritual plants. Knock knock, come in. Li Zhirui looked up. Ninth uncle, a member of the foundation building clan, gently pushed open the courtyard door, bowed respectfully, and said, "The clan leader invites you to the main hall. What's the matter?" While asking, Li Zhirui also stood up and walked towards him. If it wasn't for a special situation, Li Daoan wouldn't have asked someone to come and invite him. The true Lord Yunlei of Shanlai Mountain is here, and I don't know about other things. Li Zhirui raised his eyebrows slightly. Why did Yunlei suddenly run to Wangxin Island? Was it for the Taixia demon clan, or the secret realm? Soon, Li Zhirui came to the outside of the clan land and saw the true Lord Yunlei, who looked unhappy, and asked directly, "I don't know why you came this time. The relationship between the two families is not close, and they are even enemies. There is no need to pretend to be concerned about each other." Not long ago, Shenlai Mountain and Zhuanbing sect reached a consensus on the matter of Taixia province. They are ready to work together to drive out the demons and recover Taixia. What do you think of the Li family? A trace of anger flashed in Yunlai's eyes. Even if the two families were not on good terms, they would not even let him in through the gate, right? Li Zhirui was stunned when he heard this, and asked uncertainly, "Recover Taixia province? It seems that the two families suffered a great loss in Taixia province." Li Zhirui guessed correctly. In addition to a few Yuanying's Henjin, only a few Jinden disciples escaped from Shanlai Mountain and Zhuanbing sect. In other words, they almost lost 90% of their Jinden in this trip to the secret realm. With such a huge casualties, how could the two families not be angry? Dao didn't hear wrong. If it weren't for the need for the Li family, Yunlai would never be so easy to talk to. Li Zhirui's eyelids drooped slightly, covering the brilliance in his eyes, and his thoughts turned suddenly. Taixia has been run by the demon clan for 100 years. Although no new 4th-order monsters have been born, there are many more 3rd-order monsters than before, not to mention low-order monsters. Just every 2 or 3 years, a beast tide is launched to reduce the number of low-order monsters, which shows how huge this number is. In this case, even if Zhuanbing sect and Shanlai Mountain join forces, Taixia will definitely not be recovered in a short time. Even if you go through untold hardships to snatch Taixia from the demon clan, it will take a lot of time and energy to completely control it. Moreover, recovering Taixia is not a good thing for the Li family. Although the beast tide every few years will cause certain losses and casualties to the Li family, the gains are greater. And by then, the Li family will border the Zhuanbing sect. If Shanlai Mountain and Zhuanbing sect join forces again, with the strength of the Li family, it is impossible to start a war on two fronts. At that time, they can only abandon the 5 states of Yunping, Guangqing, etc., and retreat to Wangxin Island. Although the relationship between the two families is not very good, it is not too bad. In the face of huge interests, what are some small conflicts? Thank you for the invitation, but the Li family is weak and dare not participate, Li Zhirui said sincerely. When he heard the first sentence, Yunlei knew what Li Zhirui was going to say next, but a Yuanying fighting force would exert great power on the battlefield. He didn't want to give up so easily, and smiled. Dao is too modest. The Li family is full of talents, not as bad as you said. If Dao agrees, the Taixia secret realm will be divided equally by the 3 of us. In addition, Shanlai Mountain and Zhuanbing sect will agree to condition that the Li family can do its best. This is already the bottom line of the two families in order to win over the Li family. If Li Zhirui still disagrees, they can only give up. It must be said that Li Zhirui was really moved by the conditions offered by Yunlei. Not to mention the secret realm, just the conditions offered by the two families. As long as they are used well, the Li family can at least save decades of time to accumulate foundation. But Li Zhirui understood one thing better: one should do as much as one can. The conditions they offered were very generous, but after a war that could be called genocide, the Li family didn't know how many people would die. These people were not weeds. They would grow again soon after being cut. They needed time, decades or even hundreds of years. Sorry, thank you for your kindness, but my Li family does not intend to participate in this matter. Yunlei saw Li Zhirui's expression and was confident that he would not refuse the conditions he offered, but the answer he heard was beyond his expectations. Humph! Yunlei snorted coldly, and without saying anything more, he turned around and left. Li Zhirui stood there, watching him go away, until he could no longer see Yunlei. Then he turned to Li Dawen and said, "Dawen, call the elders to the main hall to discuss this matter. Invite second grandfather and grandpa Yan as well." Yes, Li Dawen was a little nervous. He was not worried that Shenlai Mountain would be angry and attack the Li family, but because the situation had changed and the Li family had no power to resist the storm, so they could only resist reluctantly. Several elders on the side were panicked and uneasy. Li Zhirui ignored them and walked towards the family hall. After a while, the empty chairs in the hall all had their own owners. "Zhirui, what happened? You are so anxious to call everyone together?" Li Shiking, who came later, asked as soon as he entered the door. "Second grandfather, Yunlei from Shenlai Mountain just now." Li Zhirui repeated what happened just now. After listening to it, everyone had different expressions. Some agreed with Li Zhirui's approach, while others thought they should agree to the other party. Li Zhirui ignored their thoughts and said to himself, "Although the family does not intend to get involved in this matter, we still need to be prepared just in case." Chapter 482 Anxious. Especially, we must guard the border area with Taixuzhao and not let the demons enter the family's territory. Yes, whether they were willing or not, facing the powerful Li Zhirui, they could only agree and do things honestly. "Dawen, you have been the clan leader and elder for a long time. It's time to train the next generation. After you step down, practice well and strive to touch the threshold of the golden elixir," Li Zhirui said meaningfully. "There is no way. Although there are many foundation-building clan members still in the family, the ones with the deepest foundation are actually those in power such as Li Dawen. Therefore, if the family wants to have more golden elixir cultivators, they can only cultivate them from them in a short period of time. In fact, it is not surprising. The current family elders are no longer like before, and they have to deal with everything personally. They have so many deacons under their hands, who can help them share many affairs and give them time to practice. In addition, as the person in power, not to mention the monthly salary of the family, they can get a lot of resources by making a little move on certain matters. As long as it is not too extreme, the family will turn a blind eye to such things. Of course, there are always some greedy and ignorant people who challenge Li Zhirui's bottom line, and the end of these people will be more painful than death." Li Zhirui's words made Li Dawen and others change their faces slightly. Several elders wanted to say something, but found that they couldn't speak at all. "Okay, you all go out and do your work. Don't forget my last words." Li Zhirui only told Li Shiking and Li Shilian about the news of Xianqing Dan and Jinzi Dan, and the rest of the family hadn't even heard of it. So they all thought that Li Zhirui was depriving them of their rights, and didn't think that Li Zhirui was doing it for their own good. And in their excitement, they didn't hear the deep meaning of Li Zhirui's words. Maybe when they calm down, some smart people will figure out something. Li Dawen and others saluted Li Shiking, Li Zhirui and others with complicated expressions, and slowly walked out. "Zhirui, are you a little too anxious?" Li Shiking understood Li Zhirui's concerns, but this method was too rough and might cause dissatisfaction among many clan members. Li Zhirui was not unaware of the disadvantages of his approach, but he did not have extra time to deal with them slowly. "Zhirui, you are only thinking about the difficulties that the family may face after the destruction of Taixu State, but have you ever thought that the Taixu demon clan is not easily destroyed?" Li Shilian, who was standing aside, suddenly spoke up. "The contradiction between the Taixu demon clan and the Great Snow Mountain will disappear in an instant when facing the invasion of the God Thunder Mountain and the Zuanbing sect. The Great Snow Mountain only needs to send a few 4th-level monsters to balance the strength of both sides of the battlefield and turn it into a war of attrition. When Li Zhirui heard this, his eyes suddenly lit up. Yes, he only thought about the disadvantages of the family, but did not think about how much loss the God Thunder Mountain and the Xuanbing sect would suffer before the destruction of the Taixia demon clan. Unfortunately, in this kind of war with the demon clan, the Li family must not do anything behind the scenes, otherwise once it is leaked, the family will fall into a situation where everyone can kill them. Li Zhirui was still thinking about whether to adjust the plan, and then he heard Li Shilian say, however, it is indeed time to put some pressure on the cultivators of the family, so that they don't have to do nothing all day and waste their time. Grandpa Yan is right. Seeing that both of them agreed, Li Shiking thought about it and felt that what they said made sense, so he didn't object anymore. I don't know how Chenglin and Chenghua are doing now. Li Shiking suddenly mentioned the 4 people in the Cheng generation of the family who are most likely to break through the golden elixir. They are Li Chenglin, Li Chenghua, Li Chengwu, and Li Chengfin. They are currently in the late stage of foundation building, and all of them are training outside to seek opportunities to break through the golden elixir. Why are there no Li Chengsheng and Li Chengshuo brothers and sisters? Because they are still young. Li Zhirui requires them to lay a good foundation for cultivation and consolidate their roots, so they are only in the middle stage of foundation building now. No news is the best news. The 4 of them were actually pretty good, but it was impossible for all of them to break through the Jinden stage. In the end, half of them could break through, and Li Zhirui felt that it was a blessing from heaven. You're right, a figure suddenly appeared in Li Shiking's mind, and she looked exactly like Li Zhirui. Although Li Shiking was angry that Li Zhirui didn't have the family in her heart, as he got older, his dissatisfaction with Li Zhirui was also decreasing. Li Darren, the current family's foreign affairs elder, after arranging things, he sat in his office and recalled what Li Zhirui said. His intuition told him that there was an unknown secret hidden in it. Strive to touch the threshold of the Jinden, Li Darren murmured and repeated, and the doubts in his heart became bigger and bigger. Why is it touching the threshold of the Jinden stage? Instead of breaking through the Jinden stage in one fell swoop, the former sounds nice as a half-step Jinden, but in fact it is still a foundation building, and there is no difference in essence. Could it be possible? A flash of inspiration suddenly flashed through Li Darren's mind. He widened his eyes and whispered in disbelief, could it be that the 9th uncle has refined a magic pill that can help half-step golden elixir, really take that step, overcome the heavenly tribulation, and achieve golden elixir? Although it was a bit incredible, Li Darren felt that it was quite reasonable for Li Zhirui. Because in the hearts of the younger generations who knew all of Li Zhirui's deeds, Li Zhirui was an omnipotent existence. Thinking of this, Li Darren's breathing became rapid. Golden elixir. This is a symbol of having a lifespan of 500 years. I must seize this opportunity. Li Darren made up his mind in an instant and decided to take a few days to complete the handover of the affairs at hand, and then go back to retreat. As for what to do if he failed? Li Darren had never thought about this question. He was very confident in himself. Brother, has the Li family agreed? Qinglei saw Yunlei's figure and asked impatiently. If he was slower and saw Yunlei's face clearly, he would never ask this question that could see the answer. No, Li Zhirui refused without hesitation. Qinglei frowned. A trace of murderous intent flashed in his eyes, and said, a small family dares to refuse, even though Li Zhirui has broken through the nascent soul and is on an equal footing with them. Qinglei has never taken him and the Li family seriously. Brother, why don't we take action first, get rid of the Li family, and enslave them as cannon fodder? Qinglei thought of an extremely stupid idea. He was stupid because he didn't take into account Li Zhirui, a nascent soul. With just the 2 of them, it would be impossible to keep him unless they set a trap. And if Li Zhirui escaped, it would definitely be a huge disaster for Shenlei Mountain. Chapter 483 Trap. But is Qinglei really stupid? How is it possible? There are no stupid people who can cultivate to the nascent soul stage. To put it bluntly, Qinglei did not take Li Zhirui seriously, thinking that Li Zhirui's breakthrough was just a blessing from heaven and a stroke of luck. With the joint efforts of him and Yunlei, Li Zhirui was no match at all. If we attack the Li family now, we will not be able to deal with the demon clan with all our strength next time. Yunlei shook his head and rejected Qinglei's proposal, saying, during the war, the Li family dare not attack us, otherwise they will be rejected by the human race. Don't worry about them for the time being. After we recover takes us how, the Li family will be a turtle in a jar and not worth mentioning. Brother is right. In Teho Fairy City, Zhongshan, thousands of miles away, there is a magnificent auction house with a lot of people. Li Zhirui looked at the nascent soul pill on the round table, her eyes filled with greed and desire, but the constant bidding sounds in her ears made her feel desperate. The price was so high that she had never thought of it before. Congratulations to this fellow Taoist for getting the infant transformation pill. The result was somewhat unexpected. The one who got the infant transformation pill was not any of the cultivators in the private room, but a cultivator who was sitting in the lobby and was covered in black. Although he exuded the aura of a perfect golden pill, the cultivators around him did not fear him. Instead, they regarded him as a fat prey. I don't know how many cultivators were lurking in the dark, ready to act when the opportunity arose. If one's virtue is not worthy of his position, there will be disaster, Li Zhirui murmured softly. Under the stimulation of the infant transformation pill, many cultivators did not think of the strangeness of it. They were all thinking about how to get the pill after leaving the immortal city. This auction ends here. If you didn't win the item you like, you can come to our store to have a look. With the words of the auctioneer, this auction that shocked everyone finally came to an end. The black-clothed cultivator who got the infant transformation pill stood up immediately and walked out of the door in a hurry. At the same time as he stood up, 70% to 80% of the cultivators who thought they were quite strong stood up. Li Zhirui was one of them. Grandpa, that man is just a giant and cultivator, why don't you make a move? If you can get that infant transformation pill, Grandpa will have a chance to become an infant. In a private room, a young man in gorgeous clothes asked anxiously and puzzled. The old man called Grandpa had a flash of disappointment in his eyes, but looking at this only bloodline, he still patiently taught him. Have you ever thought about why a mere giant and cultivator could come up with such a large sum of money, and even bid for the precious elixir from dozens of forces, big and small? Fortunately, he was not really stupid. After being reminded, he quickly guessed the reason and asked in surprise, Grandpa, are you saying that there is also a Yuanying's engine behind that person? Not stupid, the old man nodded and said, the Han family likes to do this kind of thing the most, deliberately setting traps, and then taking advantage of the situation to harvest some cultivators who don't know how to live or die. The Han family is really shameless. The old man shook his head and laughed. There are many more exaggerated things in the world. What's more, this is their greed. If they didn't chase out, how could they fall into danger? At this time, the black-clothed cultivator was running at full speed, his exposed eyes were full of fear and anxiety, and he accelerated several times, trying to get rid of the many cultivators following him. Unfortunately, it ended in failure. But if someone could see his expression through the black scarf, they would find that he was not so nervous and frightened, but rather relaxed and comfortable. On the way of pursuit, some monks woke up in time and stopped, but more people were still blinded by greed and chased the black monk closely. Leave the city, the same words, but with different meanings. In the eyes of the black monk, he could immediately deal with a group of little bugs behind him, and in the eyes of those monks, they could do something to him. When leaving the city, Li Zhirui suddenly stopped. Although she also wanted to get the infant transformation pill, from then on, the pill turned into an infant and became the honor of the true monarch, but she did not completely lose her mind. The route of the black monk was really strange. When he was alone, knowing that there were a lot of pursuers behind him, he actually wanted to run out of the city. Isn't this looking for death? Unless all this is a trap, the black monk is just a bait to lure them out of the city. But Li Zhirui was reluctant to give up the nascent soul pill. After hesitating for a moment, she finally followed. However, for safety reasons, she chose to follow far behind. If there was any accident, she could react immediately. The speed of the black-robed monk was very fast, always a little faster than other monks, so that everyone could not catch up with him, but could not get rid of them. Seeing this scene, Li Zhirui confirmed her guess and had already retreated in her heart. But before she could react, she saw two nascent soul monks suddenly appear not far from the crowd. Third uncle, seventh uncle, my mission is completed, and I will trouble you two next, the black-robed monk said respectfully. Nascent soul monk, Li Zhirui's face turned extremely pale in an instant, and she wanted to turn around and run away without saying a word. Seeing this scene, other monks also realized that all this was a trap, and they used their magical powers one by one to leave this place. But, how could the two nascent soul true lords, who had already laid a net of heaven and earth, let anyone escape? You know, this is not the first time that the Han family has taken such action, But why only a small number of cultivators know about it? It is because they act carefully and will not reveal any flaws. Even if there are some rumors, there is no evidence to prove what they did. In addition, the Han family's own strength, small forces cannot afford to fend, and there is no need to fend large forces. A third-level formation that covers a radius of 10 miles rose instantly, enclosing all the cultivators. Because Li Zhirui was the farthest away, she was at the edge of the formation. If she was given half a quarter of an hour, she would definitely be able to escape. But she didn't dare to make any rash moves, for fear of attracting the attention of the two Yuanying. She could only reduce her presence as much as possible, delay the speed of her death, and look for opportunities to escape. In order to escape from the two Yuanying, Li Zhirui could only muddy the water so that all cultivators could escape from the formation. Only in this way would she have a chance of survival. Otherwise, if she escaped from the formation alone, not only would she not be able to seize the chance of survival, but would accelerate her own death. Suddenly, Li Zhirui remembered a magic weapon she had once obtained. A magical weapon that has no lethality but is very special. Chapter 484 Severe Injury. The shape of the magic weapon is like a conch. As long as you use your spiritual consciousness to inject what you want to say into it, it will automatically transform it into sound, a very, very loud sound. Li Zhirui's idea is to use the power of the magic weapon to tell all the cultivators trapped in the formation to attack the formation at the same time, break the formation in an instant, and then escape in all directions. As for whether they will take action, Li Zhirui dare not guarantee it, but in despair, a little hope suddenly appears, and everyone will try their best to grasp this ray of life. Taking advantage of the chaos, Li Zhirui threw the conch out, activated it, and took the initiative to annihilate the spiritual consciousness in it. Fellow Taoists, after 5 breaths, everyone will attack the formation at the same time to break it, so that there is a chance to survive. The sentence is not very smooth, but what should be expressed has been made clear. Damn it, the two Yuanying's faces changed slightly. If there is an accident in this operation and the news is leaked, the Han family will lose the huge market of casual cultivators. In fact, they were confident enough in themselves that they didn't even hide their appearance. Even if none of the cultivators present knew them, once the news spread, there would always be a day when they would be exposed. As for why they arranged a 3rd-level formation instead of a 4th-level formation, it was mainly because the 4th-level formation was more complicated and consumed more energy. In addition, they looked down on these giant cultivators and felt that there was no need to use a 4th-level formation. Moreover, there had never been any problems in the previous actions, so naturally no one would notice the drawback of the formation. 5 breaths of time passed in a flash. Some cultivators immediately followed Li Zhirui's words, while others hurriedly followed after seeing others take action. In any case, with the joint efforts of everyone, the formation that trapped them instantly collapsed and dissipated into spiritual light and dissipated between heaven and earth. All the cultivators felt that they had survived the catastrophe, but they did not celebrate for too long, and fled at their fastest speed. Li Zhirui was the fastest, and she was the farthest away. After a moment, she was far away from the two Yuanying's engine. Li Zhirui exhaled a long turbid breath. But soon, she couldn't relax anymore. Because in order to keep the secret, the two Yuanying's engine fell into madness, bursting out all their strength to slaughter the escaping monks. And because Li Zhirui ran the fastest and farthest, she was spotted by a Yuanying's engine at the first time. "It's over," the man said coldly, and then a little light appeared on his fingertips, and finally turned into a dark green log, like an arrow from a string, carrying the momentum of breaking through the air, and smashed towards Li Zhirui. Danger! Li Zhirui's heart was beating wildly, and all kinds of magic spells, magical powers, talismans and magic weapons were all used by her. Puff! Unfortunately, facing the attack of the Yuanying, no matter how many means Li Zhirui used, it was useless. The whole person flew backwards, fell heavily to the ground, and spit out a large mouthful of blood. You didn't die? You have some skills. But it's a pity that your Dao heart is covered with dust and greed is the cause of your life. It's better to die now than to waste resources. It's a good thing, even if it was Yuanying's engine, it would be impossible to see so many things at a glance. The main reason was that he had cultivated a magical power that could penetrate the Dao heart. Seeing that Li Zhirui was not dead, he took a curious look. After that, another attack came. Li Zhirui didn't want to die just like that, she still wanted to live. She still had a lot of things to do. She still owed the family a lot. How could she die like this without paying it back? Before death came, Li Zhirui finally realized her mistake. Unfortunately, it was too late. She couldn't bear another attack from Yuanying now. When you encounter an irresistible danger, use this talisman. Suddenly, Li Zhirui's mind flashed with what Li Zhirui had said to her many years ago. Li Zhirui activated the 4th level talisman that Li Zhirui left for her, and a huge bronze ancient bell appeared, trapping her upside down inside. 4th level talisman. The man's face changed slightly, and he took a deep look at Li Zhirui, but he didn't bother with her anymore, but turned around to deal with other monks. It's not that he couldn't break this ancient bell, but it would take at least half a quarter of an hour, and he had to burst out with all his strength, otherwise it would take longer. In such a long time, other monks would have escaped without a trace, and there was no need to let a large number of monks escape just for her. But before he left, he notified the clan member in the late Jiandan period to come and take care of Li Zhirui and not let her escape. But no matter what, he could not have imagined that a seriously injured monk could successfully escape in front of a late Jiandan period. Li Zhirui was able to escape this time thanks to the 2 3rd-level spirit beasts she cultivated, a water spirit turtle that was good at defense, and a long-tailed white bird with extremely fast flying speed. Coupled with her oppression of herself and her fearless spirit, she successfully got rid of the other party. However, Li Zhirui's fate was not good. Her body, which was already seriously injured, became even more serious after this battle. If she was not careful, she might not be able to open her eyes. "You girl, are you finally willing to come back?" Zhang Fengwu hurried forward and hugged Li Chengshu, with more heartache than blame in his words. Li Zhirui, who was standing aside, looked at Li Chengshu, who was weak and pale, with a trace of heartache in his eyes, but did not speak. "Dad, I know I was wrong, and I will never calculate my family again in the future." In just a short sentence, Li Chengshu coughed several times, which shows how serious her injury was. Speaking of which, Li Chengshu was also in trouble this time. Shenlai Mountain joined forces with Xuanbing sect to fight against the Taixu demon clan, which affected Li Chengshu and other cultivators who were training in Taixu state. If she hadn't had a lot of life-saving spiritual objects in her hands, she would have died in the wilderness like other cultivators, and would eventually be eaten by monsters or burned to ashes by cultivators. It's good that you know you're wrong. Go back and rest and heal your wounds first. Li Zhirui couldn't hold on any longer, sighed, and said worriedly. At the same time, he also ordered the Tiger Gan Sanyago space in the space to select the spiritual medicine for refining healing elixirs, and when he finished refining, he would send it to her immediately. It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, Shu'er wouldn't have been so seriously injured and almost couldn't come back. Zhang Fengwu sent Li Chengshu back to the room, and the first thing he said when he entered the door was to complain about Li Zhirui. Although Li Zhirui didn't think that his actions were wrong, facing Zhang Fengwu who was angry and furious, he didn't refute, but directly changed the subject. "I'm going to refine a few furnaces of healing elixirs for Shu'er now." Zhang Fengwu frowned and said hurriedly, "Then what are you still doing here? Why don't you go and make the elixir?" Chapter 485 Trouble. Li Zhirui had just finished refining the elixir, and before he gave it to Li Chengshu, Li Shiking hurriedly sent someone to come over, saying anxiously that he had something important to discuss. "Go quickly." Zhang Fengwu took the elixir and walked towards Li Chengshu's courtyard. Li Zhirui did not hesitate. After all, Li Shiking was so anxious, something big must have happened, so he strode out of the cave. "Knock knock, Mom? Why is it you? Where is Daddy?" Li Chengshu, who opened the door after hearing the sound, said with some disappointment. Zhang Fengwu pretended to be angry, with a trace of sadness on his face, and said, "You girl, you only have Zhirui in your heart, and you don't have me as your mother at all." No, I'm just worried that Daddy hasn't forgiven me yet," Li Chengshu explained hurriedly. Zhang Fengwu looked at the daughter in front of him, who seemed to have grown up overnight, and sighed with mixed emotions. She was more mature than before, but she also lost her innocence. Second grandfather had something urgent to find him, so he didn't personally send you the elixir. Don't worry, he has forgiven you a long time ago. Really? That's good. Li Chengshu finally showed a smile on his face. Zhang Fengwu saw this scene, and felt a little sour in his heart, and said jealously, "It seems that in your heart, Daddy is more important than Mommy." "No. You are equally important and precious to me." Li Chengshu threw himself into Zhang Fengwu's arms and said coquettishly. Okay, Take the elixir and go heal your wounds, Zhang Fengwu said with a smile on his face, but with a look of disgust. After a while, Li Zhirui appeared in Li Shiking's cave. Second grandfather, what happened? Why are you calling me here so anxiously? Li Shiking looked at him seriously and said, the battle in Taixuzhou will be over soon. How is it possible? The battle has only just started for a month. Whether it is the demon clan or the two major sects, it is impossible for them to be defeated so quickly, Li Zhirui said in disbelief. Shenlai Mountain and Zuanbing sect spent several months preparing for this war, and it was impossible for them to be defeated easily. On the demon clan side, Daxu Mountain sent several fourth-level demons to support them. Their strength was no less than that of the two major sects, not to mention that Taixu State was the demon clan's home ground. Because this war was related to the situation that the Li family would face in the future, whether to maintain the status quo or fall into trouble, it was closely related to the outcome of the war. Therefore, they attached great importance to intelligence and arranged many clan members to inquire about the news on the edge of the battlefield so that the family could respond in time. The news that Li Zhirui received a few days ago was that the two sides were fighting in full swing and were evenly matched. It has only been a few days, and the situation has become one-sided? According to the news that the family has inquired, it seems that there is a fourth-level demon on the demon clan side, which broke the deadlock and injured King Li's engine, forcing Shenlai Mountain to retreat, Li Shiking said solemnly. Suddenly there is a fourth-level monster? Was it secretly sent by the Great Snow Mountain? But thinking about it, it seems unlikely. After all, the Great Snow Mountain has the Zuanbing sect to contain them. They must have a very detailed and profound understanding of the strength of the monster clan, and it is impossible for them to miss a fourth-level monster. Unless they are not really working with the Shenlai Mountain and deliberately concealed the news. But this matter is a great thing for the family. Second grandfather, why are you still gloomy? The monster clan has won, and the surrounding situation will not change. The Li family does not have to worry about facing the dilemma of being attacked from both sides. In addition, Qing Lei was injured, and it is very likely that he was seriously injured, otherwise it would be impossible to withdraw directly at the first time. These are all things that are beneficial to the family. Li Shiking sighed helplessly and said, indeed, but that newly promoted fourth-level monster specifically wants to cause trouble for my Li family, huh? Why is that? The family and the monster clan do not have any deep hatred. Hunting monsters is a trivial matter that is not worthy of the attention of the monster clan. If we have to talk about the conflict between the family and the demon race, it is only the fact that the Li family and Shenlai Mountain joined forces to force the demon race to give up the secret realm not long ago. Just because of the secret realm, Li Zhirui said in disbelief. The resources in the third-level secret realm are indeed precious, but they are not enough to make the fourth-level demon take action, right? Li Zhixun did not cut the grass and root, but only took a part of it. No matter what the reason is, since the demon said so, we must be prepared. Li Shiking shook his head and did not want to explore the reason. Well, if possible, it is best to set the battlefield in Taixuzhou to avoid destroying the family's territory. The battle between Yu and Ying is a bit exaggerated to say that it will destroy the world, but moving a small mountain, filling a small lake, and partially changing the terrain is no problem. So I must take the initiative to attack and stop the fourth-level demon in advance. Li Zhirui pondered for a moment and said, I'll set off now. Do you want to prepare something? Li Shiking did not stop him, because no one knew when the other party would take action. No, I have a batch of elixirs in my hand. If they are not enough, I will mobilize them from the family. Li Zhirui's thoughts turned quickly, and he said, at the same time, I need to take away a few mountain guardian spirit beasts, as well as Li Zhixun and Li Chengru. As for why he didn't take Zhang Fengwu, who is more powerful, it's because she is a formation master. With her on Banyan Island, even if a fourth-level monster attacks, the family can hold on for a few hours with the spirit stones accumulated. And this is enough to hold on until Li Zhirui returns. Okay, Li Shiking agreed immediately and said, after you leave, I will let Zhang Fengwu open the island protection formation and notify all the clansmen at the same time. As long as they find the trace of the fourth-level monster, they can ring the Bailey Tongsheng bell. Don't worry, the family will be fine. Li Zhirui saw the two elders' nervous expressions and comforted them softly. But in his heart, he was thinking, when will the Li family give birth to the second Yuanying's engine? Even if they are not Yuanying, it would be good to have more giant cultivators. so that they would not have to rely on the enslaved spirit beasts in the current situation. Although they dare not take action because their souls are controlled, as long as they let go a little during the battle, it will be a huge disaster for other cultivators. After surviving this disaster, we must do our best to promote Li Dawen and others, speed up the handover, and give them more time to practice and impact the Jinden threshold. Because Li Shiqing and Li Shilian said that this approach was too radical and not conducive to the emotional stability of the tribesmen, Li Zhirui did not treat this matter strictly. But now, Li Zhirui has made up his mind. No matter who persuades him, he will do his best to promote the implementation of this matter. Otherwise, everything will fall on him, so how can he have enough time to practice? To think about the recipe? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 486 Difficult. Let's go. About a quarter of an hour later, Li Zhirui took Li Zhixuan, Li Shengru and others and left Wangxin Island, flying towards Taixishao. His target was the unknown 4th-level monster, but his destination was not Taixishao, but the border between the two states. Ahem. King Li's face turned pale. He opened his mouth to say something, but he kept coughing. He stopped for a long time and said weakly, "I'm sorry, senior brother, I'm a burden to you." If King Li hadn't been confident and went too deep into the battlefield, he wouldn't have been seriously injured by the 4th-level monster that suddenly appeared, so that Shenli Mountain's preparations for several months would be in vain, and the losses would be heavy. Don't blame you, no one expected that the Taixia Demon clan would have another 4th-level monster. Yun Li shook his head, never blaming King Li. Sometimes, he even thought that it might be a good thing for Shenli Mountain if they withdrew from the war at this time. At least the casualties of the disciples were not many. I heard that without their restraint, Xuanbing sect is still in a bitter battle, losing a large number of disciples every day. Although no nascent souls have fallen, there has never been a shortage of golden core cultivators. After this battle, the strength of Xuanbing sect may be reduced by 20% to 30%. And the injuries on King Li's body only need to be quietly recuperated for a period of time to heal. Li family, King Li said with difficulty. This serious injury is not a bad thing for King Li. At least he is not as arrogant as before. Don't worry, Yun Li said with a strange look on his face. After you were seriously injured and unconscious, the Link Su Fox said that it would go to the Li family for trouble. Now the Li family can't protect themselves, and it is impossible for them to attack Shenli Mountain again. Have a good rest and don't worry about other things. I'll take care of everything. Watching King Li fall asleep, Yun Li left the place quietly. As soon as he went out, he asked, "What is the Li family doing now?" The reason why the Li family got the news that the 4th-level monster wanted to attack them in the first place was because Shenli Mountain was pushing behind them. Shenli Mountain wanted to drag the Li family into the quagmire of war and take this opportunity to weaken the Li family's strength, so that they would not have the heart to attack Shenli Mountain. The Li family's true lord immediately took several Jinden and went out. They are now at the edge of Taixu State, waiting for the arrival of the 4th-level monster. Always pay attention to that battlefield. If there is any situation, you must report it to me as soon as possible. Yun Li's eyes flashed with a dark light, and he ordered in a deep voice. Yes, just treat it as an experience, don't be too nervous, Li Zhirui calmly comforted. Brother, you say it easily, but Chang Ru and I are still in the early stage of Jinden. Li Zhixuan glared at him unhappily. You two are also on the verge of breaking through, right? After this battle, you can try to break through in seclusion. Li Zhirui said a seemingly irrelevant sentence. Li Zhixuan and Li Chengru were able to break through so quickly, not only because the Li family could now supply sufficient 3rd-level elixirs, but also because of their previous experience and accumulation. Their cultivation speed was so fast. Alice. Li Zhirui sighed and said, I hope that the family can have a clan member who can share the pressure for me as soon as possible. Li Zhixuan and Li Chengru were silent for a moment. They wanted to be the person Li Zhirui mentioned, but their cultivation was not enough. Or rather, there was no such person in the Li family now. No. Li Zhixuan suddenly thought of someone, a person she had been chasing but never caught up with, Li Zhirui. Only she could help Li Zhirui share some of the pressure. The scene suddenly fell into silence. The wilderness was endless, but no living creature could be seen. "Here it comes," Li Zhirui suddenly spoke, staring at the front with his eyes piercing. Boom! A sound of breaking through the air rang out, and a deadly spiritual light followed closely behind, heading straight for Li Zhirui. Li Zhirui stretched out his hand and clapped it. All the nearby spiritual energy gathered and attached to his right palm. The two collided and burst out a powerful impact force, pushing him back several steps. The big demon who made the move was also forced to reveal his body. "Are you the Link Su Fox?" A hint of surprise flashed in Li Zhirui's eyes. If his memory was correct, half a year ago, it was only a third-order late-stage demon beast. But now it has crossed that natural barrier and become a big demon. No. Even if you can break through the tribulation and consolidate your realm within half a year, it is impossible not to pass the Thunder Tribulation. The Li family did not pay much attention to the Demon Clan, but the Xuanbing sect and Shanli Mountain had definitely been eyeing the Demon Clan for a long time. But why didn't even they find any clues? "Hu Linghun? It's you." Li Zhirui also recognized the identity of the big demon. A hint of shock and fear flashed in his eyes, but soon turned into determination. "Brother Jiu, he is here to cause trouble for me." Li Zhirui smiled bitterly and said, "The monster I mentioned before, is it?" Li Zhirui also remembered and shook his head and said, "It has nothing to do with you. Stop talking nonsense. Come and fight." Hu Linghun stared at Li Zhirui, but he also knew that it was impossible to kill her before Li Zhirui was dealt with. After breaking through the 4th level, Hu Linghun is no longer the weak monster that can only hide in the space to avoid attacks. Its strength has changed dramatically. Hu Linghun's mind moved, and the whole person disappeared without a trace, and actually escaped directly into the space. "Be careful." Li Zhirui's eyes showed a trace of caution. His current strength is not enough to shake the space, let alone find its existence. However, it is not that there is no way to find its trace. Li Zhirui quickly played a few spells, and suddenly a thick white mist filled the sky and the earth, and in the white mist, there were also small and tough vines. Swish, 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 invisible space blades cut the vines easily, but the thick fog, even if separated, can quickly close. This is the power that the Link Su Fox has mastered after breaking through the 4th level. They are no longer limited to hiding in the space, but can use the power of space to fight the enemy. This is troublesome. Li Zhirui had a blank expression on his face, but his heart became more and more solemn. For Hu Linghun, the space is like the place where it lives. There is no obscurity between entering and exiting, and the speed is extremely fast. Even if it shows its figure in the thick fog, Li Zhirui can't react. But it may be because it has just broken through not long ago, and has not yet fully mastered the power of the 4th level. Otherwise, Li Zhirui's current situation will be even more difficult. Because he couldn't attack Hu Linghun, Li Zhirui simply gave up the initiative to attack and turned to defense with all his strength, as if he intended to use his own strong mana to forcibly exhaust the opponent's mana. Chapter 487 Shadow. Link Su Fox is indeed a natural space spirit beast. The power of space is like a pet that has been domesticated for a long time to Hu Linghun, and it comes at his call. The powerful space blades made Hu Linghun the center of attention, while Li Zhirui looked a little embarrassed, helpless, and could only defend himself. It seemed that Hu Linghun had the upper hand, and Li Zhirui was in danger. It would not be long before he would be defeated and flee. But as time went by, Hu Linghun's expression became more and more ugly, while Li Zhirui looked relaxed and comfortable, and he was able to deal with the aggressive offensive with ease. Hu Linghun had just broken through not long ago, and his mana accumulation was insufficient. He was also the one who took the initiative to attack, so his mana consumption was relatively large. On the other hand, Li Zhirui, no matter how busy he was in these years, would take time to breathe in and out the spiritual energy and polish his mana. The accumulation over the years was not comparable to that of a great demon who had just entered the 4th level. Hu Linghun was naturally not a fool, and he quickly saw Li Zhirui's intention, but the problem was that Hu Linghun had no good solution now. Li Zhirui's strength was far superior to it. If it weren't for Hu Linghun's special bloodline talent, it would not have lasted long. It would have been injured by Li Zhirui and fled. Now there were two options for Hu Linghun. One was to give up and go back home. After practicing for a while, it would come back to trouble the Li family. The other was to continue to grit its teeth and hold on, hoping that Li Zhirui would reveal a flaw, but it was very likely that it would not be able to hold on first, and then it would definitely not have a good ending. After struggling for a while, Hu Linghun was still unwilling to retreat. It wanted to fight and bet that Li Zhirui could not do anything about its bloodline talent. Swish swish swish, after making up his mind, Hu Linghun took out a treasure pill emitting aura from the storage magic weapon and swallowed it. The mana that had consumed most of it was instantly restored, and its offensive became stronger again. The Tibetan spirit treasure pill? What a big deal. As an alchemist, Li Zhirui certainly knew this famous 4th-level treasure pill. This is a treasure that can instantly restore mana. It is extremely precious. Others treat it as a treasure at the bottom of the box and will not use it easily. Only Hu Linghun was willing to take such a precious pill to deal with Li Zhirui. As long as I can take you down, destroy the Li family, and make my thoughts clear, why would I be reluctant to give up a mere Kangling Baodan? Hu Linghun's eyes were full of viciousness and resentment. As a second generation who has been high and mighty since childhood, he was humiliated by Li Zhixun in the secret realm. He hated her to the bone and wanted to peel her skin, eat her flesh and drink her blood, and grind her bones to ashes. Even Li Zhixun's family was resented by him. That depends on whether you have the ability. Li Zhirui smiled coldly, turned his hand to take out a magic pill, held it under his tongue, and slowly restored his mana. Although it is not as effective as Kangling Baodan, the effect of the magic pill he personally refined is not too bad. I have been thinking about a magic some time ago, but it is not perfect yet. Please help me. As soon as the voice fell, hundreds of green lights flew out from Li Zhirui's fingertips, sank into the surrounding flowers, plants and trees, and transformed into fierce monsters, rushing towards Hu Linghun. The magical power of seeing soldiers in the grass and trees. Hu Linghun looked at it carefully and sneered, "It's just an illusion, but you dare to use it. Aren't you afraid of being embarrassed?" Li Zhirui smiled and said nothing. The power of the grass and wood spirits he summoned was not as powerful as the grass and wood spirits, but there was an advantage. That is, it consumed less. If Li Zhirui burst out with all his strength, he could summon tens of thousands of grass and wood spirits at once. Even if their strength was between foundation building and golden elixir, it would bring great trouble to Yuanying cultivators. But what Li Zhirui was going to do next did not require so many grass and wood spirits. "Since you don't know yourself clearly, I'll help you." Li Zhirui flashed a sharp light in the dark, and with his hands pinched, the hundreds of elves expanded rapidly, emitting an extremely terrifying aura. Boom boom, with the last spell, hundreds of elves exploded at the same time. A terrifying energy torrent washed over everything nearby, and everything that was touched would turn into ashes in an instant and dissipate between heaven and earth. But most importantly, the surrounding space became unstable. Hu Linghun reacted very quickly, and jumped out of the space at the first time and fled. "Finally forced you out." Li Zhirui had a smile on his face. He didn't want to use this move at first. After all, the power was too great, and he couldn't control it completely. If he was not careful, he might even get hurt. But Hu Linghun didn't give up, and insisted on fighting with Li Zhirui, which forced him to use this move that didn't distinguish between enemies and friends. And this is also the only move in Li Zhirui's hand that can shake the space. "Even if you try your best to force me out, what can you do?" Hu Linghun glanced at him disdainfully and said, "In less than a quarter of an hour, the space will return to calm, and you will still be unable to do anything to me." "A quarter of an hour is enough," Li Zhirui said confidently. "Let me show you my true strength." Vines and trees rose from the ground, and in the blink of an eye, a deep and ancient dense forest was formed. When Hu Linghun came to his senses, he was already trapped. 10,000 trees burial, vines flew into the air, leaves burst, and even grass and flowers rushed to attack. This world completely became a world of plants, carrying the power of the world and hiding Hu Linghun. "If you can't bear it, you will die." The spiritual sense was jumping wildly, constantly warning Hu Linghun to escape quickly. But this world created to imprison Hu Linghun did not have a safe escape route at all. Roar. Although Hu Linghun was extremely reluctant, in the face of life and death crisis, it still activated the life-saving Jade Talisman given to it by its ancestor. A huge Lingsu fox emerged from the Jade Talisman. It was the master of the Taxa demon clan, a top-level demon in the late 4th stage. Linger's life-saving Jade Talisman has been activated. Hu Qingshan, who was thousands of miles away, instantly projected his power over. The originally sluggish virtual spirit now seemed to have descended in person. The moment Hu Qingshan descended, he reacted and stretched out his hand to create a small space, sending Li Zhirui's attack into it. Seeing the space in the palm of his hand disappear in an instant, and the remaining power would require him to make another move to completely clear it, Hu Qingshan looked at Li Zhirui with a flash of murderous intent in his eyes. In order to perform the 10,000 trees burial, Li Zhirui, whose mana was almost exhausted, swallowed a few hulang pills without hesitation in the face of this strong murderous aura. Chapter 488 Injured. If it was Hu Qingshan's real body, Li Zhirui would turn around and run away without hesitation, because he knew that he was no match for this old monster. But if it was just a phantom, Li Zhirui thought it was okay to give it a try. Interesting. Interesting, Hu Qingshan raised his eyebrows, as if he saw through Li Zhirui's thoughts, and laughed softly. I haven't made a move for a long time, and now I am despised and looked down upon by a junior. If the senior was in person, I would definitely turn around and run away, but I have some confidence that I can save my life with just a phantom. As long as Hu Qingshan's projection power is exhausted, it will soon dissipate, and then Hu Linghuan will be the lamb to be slaughtered. However, if Li Zhirui really kills Hu Linghuan, it is very likely to rouse the anger of this old monster, and then the Li family will suffer. Li Zhirui naturally knows the seriousness of it, but it is better to lose the battle than the person. If he is inferior to others now, how can he exert his full strength at that time? Since he was no longer worried about his life, Li Zhirui naturally became much bolder. Moreover, it was a rare opportunity to fight a top-level 4th-order monster. This was a very precious experience for Li Zhirui. Okay. Let me see what you are capable of. So confident, Hu Qingshan laughed in anger, and with a wave of his hand, several attacks came. It was also a sharp blade in space, but the power was not comparable to Hu Linghuan. Wherever the blade passed, the space collapsed inch by inch, with a devastating momentum, trying to drown Li Zhirui. Li Zhixun and others were driven dozens of miles away by Li Zhirui when the projection appeared. If he had no worries, he only needed to do his best to deal with this phantom. 10,000 water lotuses. As the spell was quickly played, Li Zhirui's magic power surged, and water lotuses appeared out of thin air, growing densely around. Water has no fixed shape. The sharp blade could easily cut off the water lotus, but it did not return to the world. Instead, it dissolved into pools of spiritual water and finally gathered into a dark blue lake. Flowers fall in bloom, and the water lotus is endless. With this lake as its foundation, the water lotus is constantly generated, weakening the opponent's attack. It's interesting. With your current realm, you have a good understanding of water virtue and wood virtue. You deserve the title of Xianjiao, Hu Qingshan praised, and then changed the subject, saying, but if this is all you can do, you'd better stay here. It stretched out its hand and slapped it forward, and the lake was completely shattered, and the spiritual water splashed everywhere, unable to create a water lotus defense. The remaining momentum was still fierce, and it smashed towards Li Zhirui unstoppably. Wow, this move has helped me a lot. Li Zhirui's mouth outlined a smile, but the next moment, the whole person was suppressed by the giant palm. No. The moment he touched Li Zhirui, Hu Qingshan knew that he was not hitting his real body. Boom! A grass spirit that Li Zhirui had infused with most of his magic power exploded brazenly. The violent explosion caused considerable damage to the phantom, which looked much lighter. However, at this time, Li Zhirui's forcefully restored magic power was once again running low, and he could not cast a powerful spell for the time being. Are you at your wit's end now? Hu Qingshan looked at Li Zhirui with some disappointment. It was a pity that he had met such an interesting cultivator. Senior. Goodbye, I hope there will be another chance to fight. As soon as the voice fell, Li Zhirui disappeared. The technique he used was called the water transformation technique, which could turn into a ball of liquid. As long as he did not take action and did not expose his murderous intent, it would be like an ordinary liquid, and it would be difficult to find Li Zhirui's trace. And this time, Li Zhirui gained a lot from fighting Hu Qingshan's phantom. The strong pressure allowed him to break through the small bottleneck on the road of cultivation, and he could improve his cultivation again. Although he did not break through to the middle stage of the nascent soul, he had made considerable progress, at least one step closer. At the same time, it was also because of the pressure brought by Hu Qingshan that Li Zhirui had a deeper understanding of the several spells he created, and he could continue to improve them. For Yuan Ying's engine, it is almost impossible to create a magical power, because the magical power is a certain manifestation of the law, and Yuan Ying has just come into contact with a law. How can it do such a profound thing? But a few spells are not a problem. It's a pity that I failed to solve this kid this time, and it may become a disaster in the future. Hu Qingshan looked at Li Zhirui's back and sighed helplessly. He had the idea of killing Li Zhirui the first time he fought with him. Even if it wasn't for the fact that the original body had more important things to do and couldn't get out, Li Zhirui would never have escaped. Unfortunately, it's too late to say these now. Hu Qingshan glanced at Tu Linghuan and sighed in his heart. His descendant had been used to smooth sailing all the way, and now that he has suffered such a blow, it is very likely that he will never recover. If he could overcome this hurdle, Hu Linghuan would have a great development, but if he failed, he would probably stop here. Cough cough. At this time, Li Zhirui, who had escaped from the dead, suddenly coughed violently, as if he wanted to cough out all the internal organs in his body, and many scarlet flowers bloomed on the ground. Brother Jiu, are you okay? Li Zhixuan asked hurriedly. This disaster was caused by her. If Li Zhirui was injured, she would feel guilty and sorry. It's okay, it's just that some blood stasis accumulated in the body during the battle. Just spit it out. Li Zhirui looked fine except that his face was a little pale. But in fact, his internal organs were seriously injured, but Li Zhixuan and others couldn't help. Speaking out would only make them worry, and it would not help his injuries at all. After this battle, the 4th level monster should not come to trouble the family. Next, Li Zhirui prepared to practice quietly, do his best to improve his realm and enhance his strength. But before that, he had to heal his wounds first, and then push Li Daoan and other older generation leaders to step down. Everyone returned to Banyan Island in silence. Seeing that Li Zhirui and his companions had returned safely, Li Shiking and other clansmen breathed a sigh of relief. After discussing the next steps of the family, they dispersed. Brother Jiu, I will work hard to practice and try to help you share the pressure of the family as soon as possible, before leaving. Li Zhixuan said abruptly. Li Zhirui was stunned when he heard this, then grinned and said, okay. Then I'll wait and see your performance. Chapter 489 Separation. After returning to the cave, Li Zhirui could no longer suppress the injuries in his body, and hurriedly sat cross-legged, took out the healing elixir and swallowed it. The gentle warm current flowed through the meridians throughout the body, relieving many injuries. Zhang Fengwu outside the door was worried. Although Li Zhirui said that his injuries were not serious when he came back, as a person who had been with him day and night for many years, how could she not see that Li Zhirui was lying? I also have to work hard to practice and strive to break through the nascent soul as soon as possible, Zhang Fengwu said to herself. Maybe I should also go out to gain experience and seek opportunities for breakthroughs. Her cultivation has been stagnant in the late Jinden for decades, and her foundation is very solid. I don't know how many times she has comprehended the experience and insights summarized by Li Zhirui, but there is no opportunity for a breakthrough. Zhang Fengwu made up her mind that she would set off after Li Zhirui recovered. If she left now, the Li family would not have a Yuanying cultivator to protect them, and they would not be able to fully activate the island protection formation. If something unexpected happened, the one who would be alarmed in the end would be Li Zhirui, who was healing. This would most likely aggravate Li Zhirui's injuries. Besides, there was no rush to go out for training in the next few months. With the 2 Yuanying true lords, Qinglei and Li Zhirui, injured one after another, the Taixia demon clan was still fighting with the Zuanbing sect, and the 3 major forces in Qingshan province were quietly accumulating strength. The entire easternmost corner of Dongzhou fell into a strange calm. About a year later, the long-sealed door was finally opened from the inside. In addition to healing, Li Zhirui spent the rest of his time in seclusion to improve his cultivation, so the time was a little longer. Zhang Fengwu, who noticed the movement, came out soon and shouted happily, "You finally came out. If you don't come out, I will force you to break through. I made you worry." Li Zhirui looked at Zhang Fengwu affectionately. To be honest, Zhang Fengwu has made great sacrifices not only for this small family, but also for the entire family. Let's not talk about other things for now, but it must have delayed her cultivation time. Li Zhirui sighed more than once that he was very lucky to marry a woman like Zhang Fengwu. "I plan to go out in a while to find an opportunity for a breakthrough," Zhang Fengwu suddenly said after the 2 of them were intimate in the room. Li Zhirui was stunned. He knew that it was the previous incident that made Zhang Fengwu worried, and he hoped that he could help, so he was anxious to break through. Okay, but Li Zhirui couldn't stop it emotionally or rationally. Zhang Fengwu was a vigorous and resolute person. After talking to Li Zhirui, she was about to set off in less than 10 days. "Be careful in everything, don't worry, everything will come naturally." Li Zhirui looked at Zhang Fengwu who was about to go out and didn't know when he would return. and there was a hint of reluctance and worry in his eyes. "Don't worry, I know what's going on." Li Zhirui smiled and said nothing more. He gave the remaining time to Li Changshuo and Li Changshen. "Practice well, listen to Daddy, and go to him as soon as you encounter problems in your practice." Zhang Fengwu gave her a lot of instructions. She was worried that she would never come back, so she wanted to explain everything at once. Because the place where Zhang Fengwu practiced this time was very dangerous. It was King Lian's Hao, where cultivators and demons fought each other all year round. The location of King Lian's Hao is very special. It is the closest to the central region among the territories occupied by cultivators in the eastern region. To the west are all states occupied by demons. As long as you cross it, you will reach the central region, the holy land of cultivation in this world. Therefore, the cultivators and King Lian's Hao really want to wipe out the demons in the west, so as to directly border the central region and facilitate exchanges. Don't they know that the existence of these demons is the work of the major forces in the central region to prevent a large-scale migration of cultivators in other regions? Of course they know. But there is no way, they have to do this, because the demons will also take action. Although King Lian's Hao is dangerous, it must be said that it is indeed a good place for training. Many Jinden and foundation building cultivators broke through the bottleneck in the battle with the demon cultivators. "Okay, it's getting late. You should leave. Otherwise you can only stay in the wilderness at night," Li Zhirui reminded. Many immortal cities and markets are not allowed to enter and exit at night, mainly for the convenience of management. "Then I'm leaving. Remember to take care of yourself." After saying that, he turned and boarded the spirit boat, and the spirit light was everywhere, and soon disappeared from everyone's sight. "Come back safely soon," Li Zhirui murmured. After Zhang Fengwu left, Li Zhirui's mood was not very high for the next few days. Fortunately, he quickly adjusted his state and began to promote the handover of the family's power. This time, Li Zhirui was not going to engage in any conspiracy or trickery. He directly used the most powerful attitude to solve this matter once and for all. When Li Dawen and all the elders heard Li Zhirui's summons, they all thought of one thing in their hearts. Some people were dissatisfied and unwilling, some were worried, and some were very excited, as if they had been waiting for a long time. Finally here, Li Dawen shouted with his eyes shining. From the beginning, Li Dawen was determined to follow Li Zhirui's instructions, take time to practice, and prepare his successor early, just waiting to perform well in front of Li Zhirui and get the favor of this true lord. But who would have thought that the battle between Shanlai Mountain and the demon clan happened later, and coupled with other reasons, the matter was left unresolved. Now he has finally waited. Did you really guess the intention of the grandfather correctly? If you are wrong, then you will no longer be an elder in the future, but an ordinary member of the Li family, Li Daren's Taoist partner said with a worried look on his face. "Don't worry, I am absolutely not wrong," Li Dawen said confidently. "Just wait for me, your husband." To get the favor of the ancestor, Li Daren came to the hall with excitement, and looked at his fellows with gloomy faces, and his mood became better. Because of this, no one will compete with him for the first place. After everyone was present, Li Zhirui appeared leisurely. "Greetings, ancestor," the elder stood up and saluted. "Get up." In order to force what he wanted to do, Li Zhirui did not inform the two elders, Li Shiking and Li Shilian, because he was worried that they would stand up to stop him. By then, either he would contradict the two elders, or he would lose face and lose prestige. However, Li Zhirui's movements could not be hidden from Li Shiking and the others. "Zhirui is still anxious," Li Shiking sighed helplessly. He hesitated whether to rush over now. Li Shiking was worried that the family would be in turmoil because of this, and he was also worried about the impact on Li Zhirui's prestige and face. Chapter 490 The Future. Li Shilian on the side shook his head and said with a smile, "Second brother, Zhirui never does things rashly. I heard that before he summoned the elders, he went to the Anbu and looked through some materials. You just wait and see, Zhirui can definitely complete this task smoothly and efficiently." The Anbu, an existence that 99% of the clan members don't know about. In the entire Li family, only Li Shiking, Li Shilian and Li Zhirui know about it, and it is also the only department directly managed by them. The main task of the Anbu is to monitor all kinds of violations of clan rules that occur within the family, and record the performance of all clan members in various aspects, so as to find out in which aspect they have better talents. Li Shiking looked at him thoughtfully, as if he thought of something. On the other side, after Li Zhirui sat down, he said directly, I think you all know the reason why we called you here this time. I will give you a chance now. If you take the initiative to hand over the power, I will forgive you for the past. But if you still hold on to it and refuse to let go, don't blame me for being rude." Even though Li Zhirui did not use any momentum or pressure, the atmosphere in the hall was so heavy that you could hear a pin drop. All the elders' brains turned rapidly, thinking about how Li Zhirui would deal with them and how they should deal with it. It can be seen that most of them are unwilling to hand over the power in their hands. Li Zhirui pays homage to the ancestor, but at this moment, Li Zhirui suddenly stood up, bowed, and said, "I am willing to give up the position of the foreign affairs elder, listen to the instructions of the ancestor, and concentrate on cultivation in the future." Li Zhirui raised his eyebrows slightly, looked at Li Zhirui, and saw that he was nervous and expectant in his eyes. He suddenly smiled and said, "Li Zhirui? Not bad." While speaking, he glanced at Li Zhirui, who was silent beside him with his head down, and felt a little disappointed. Among all the people in power, Li Zhirui didn't know much about others, but he knew that Li Zhirui was a smart man. He thought that the other party would understand the meaning of his previous words. But now it seems that Li Zhirui guessed wrong. Instead, an elder that Li Zhirui had never heard of before realized the deep meaning of those words and had the courage to gamble. Of course, it is also possible that Li Zhirui actually understood it in his heart, but he was reluctant to give up the position of the clan leader and pretended not to know. If this is the case, then Li Zhirui's evaluation in Li Zhirui's heart will drop several levels again. As a cultivator, not pursuing a higher realm, but only thinking about holding the power that is like a flower in a mirror and a moon in the water, is completely putting the cart before the horse and is unworthy of fate. But just a few words made Li Zhirui excited. He knew that he barely caught the eye of this ancestor. "Thank you for the compliment, ancestor." Li Zhirui retreated happily, completely ignoring the strange and contemptuous eyes of the people around him, with a sense of pride that everyone else is drunk and I am the only one sober. Li Zhirui just nodded, without responding, quietly waiting for others' answers. But to his disappointment, even if someone took the lead, no one else stood up. "Forget it, since you are harboring hopes of getting away with it. Don't blame me for being merciless." Li Zhirui sighed, his expression instantly became cold and ruthless. He casually took out a jade slit and read out, "Li Zhirui, the Internal Affairs Elder, 7 days ago, on the grounds that the elixir had been left for too long and its efficacy had faded, he embezzled 347 second-level red phosphorus fruits, 596 first-level gray fog grasses." Li Zhirui, whose name was read out by Li Zhirui, instantly fell off his chair and collapsed to the ground. His fat face was full of fear, and he trembled all over and cried bitterly, "Grandmaster, I am willing to give up the position of the Internal Affairs Elder. I beg you to be magnanimous and spare my life." Unfortunately, Li Zhirui had given them chances a long time ago, but they did not know how to cherish them. Ignoring Li Zhirui's pleas for mercy, Li Zhirui continued to read, "Alchemy Elder Li Chengmi, using his authority as an elder, privately kept more than 38,290 elixirs. Medicine Garden Elder Li Changjia, privately stole elixirs and seeds. Law Enforcement Elder." Every time Li Zhirui read out a name, an elder's expression changed drastically, and he knelt on the ground trembling, waiting for his fate. In the end, the vast hall was full of people kneeling, and only Li Zhirui and 5 or 6 others were still sitting on the chairs. Li Zhirui was so lucky in his heart. If he hadn't been so smart, he would have been one of them kneeling on the ground now. Li Zhirui thought more about how Li Zhirui knew so much about the tribesmen, and there were so many secrets. Before, seeing that you have made a lot of contributions to the development of the family, and it's not too much, I just turned a blind eye and pretended not to know. After all, if the water is too clear, there will be no fish. And if you want people to work hard, who would be willing to spend a lot of time and energy to do it without some rewards? Li Zhirui swept his face as cold as frost and said in a voice like coming from a 1,000-foot ice cave, "I have given you many chances, but unfortunately, you didn't make the right choice, so hand over the spiritual objects you embezzled before and give up the position of elder." After a pause, Li Zhirui said, "The family will not tell anyone about this matter, which is the last phase for you, if possible." Li Zhirui didn't want to do this. After all, many of them have dedicated their lives to the family. But this is the only quick and efficient way he can think of to solve the succession. "Thank you for your magnanimity, ancestor." At the beginning, Li Zhirui's momentum and attitude seemed to want to execute them all on the spot, so he seemed particularly fearful. But now, As long as they hand over the spiritual objects they embezzled and give up the position of elder, they can save their lives. This made many people feel relieved and quickly agreed. Everyone, get up. When all the elders sat down with a look of shock on their faces, the door slowly opened and the deacons filed in one after another. Stand beside the elders you are in. In the next period of time, you should study hard and strive to become a qualified person in power as soon as possible, Li Zhirui urged. Since he had the idea of getting everyone out of office, he naturally prepared the candidates for succession. These deacons were selected by Li Zhirui through the records of the Dark Department. They did a relatively good job. After a period of training, they can take office. Yes, a group of young deacons responded with vigor. Compared with a group of old and decayed elders sitting on the chairs, they are the future of the family. Everyone go and do your own things. Li Zhirui waved his hand and asked everyone to leave first, and then said, Darong will stay for the time being, I have something to tell you. Chapter 491 Method. That Li Zhirui is a good person. He stepped on us to get into the old ancestor's eyes. Everyone walked a little further away, and before they dispersed, someone said in a gloomy tone. Yes. Now he is left alone by the old ancestor. I'm afraid he will have great fortune in the future. What he said was more jealous than envy. Li Zhirui watched coldly, without saying a word, shook his head silently, and left alone. In fact, Li Zhirui did not guess Li Zhirui's intention at first, or he thought that those words were just a pretext for them to hand over the power. Li Zhirui initially wanted to do what Li Zhirui said, but gradually, Li Zhirui stopped mentioning it, and he forgot about it in his busy schedule. But now it seems that he was thinking about it wrong. Now thinking carefully, Li Zhirui has some other ideas. Although he lost a lot of opportunities by taking a wrong step, at least there is still hope. Li Zhirui's thoughts surged in his heart, and he began to count his contribution points, elixirs, etc. He planned to start the retreat after completing the handover. At the same time, in the family hall. You are a smart person. You are the only one who understands what I mean. Li Zhirui smiled and said, in that case, I will also reveal a little information to you. I have not refined the golden elixir, but by chance I have refined another set of elixirs that are no less effective. These words made Li Zhirui very sad and happy, and his state of mind was turbulent. Your state of mind needs more tempering. Li Zhirui forced himself to calm down, but his voice was still a little trembling. He said, the ancestor taught me that after returning, I will definitely polish it more and practice hard. This is a little experience I had when I was forming the elixir. See if you can comprehend it from it. As he said, a little spiritual light flew out from Li Zhirui's fingertips and sank into Li Zhirui's sea of consciousness. This can also be regarded as a little help he gave to the smart person. Thank you, ancestor. Li Zhirui was overjoyed and immediately bowed down and bowed to the bottom. Go back, don't let me down. Yes, Li Zhirui, who has always been full of confidence, has gained this experience, and he walked out with his head held high. It is obvious that he has benefited. With Li Zhirui in charge, and the deacons who are used to handling various affairs, the handover was successfully completed in just 1 or 2 months. As for the elders of the older generation, whether they will concentrate on cultivation, Li Zhirui doesn't care. This kind of thing cannot be forced, so let them go. And Li Zhirui's performance also reached his ears. I didn't disappoint you after all, but that's all, there is no reward. After completing this matter, Li Zhirui retired again and no longer showed up. The family's spiritual veins are steadily improving, but because no high-level geomancers can be invited, it will take several years for the 4th-level spiritual veins to be born on Banyan Island. Therefore, if Li Zhirui wants to practice, he still has to go to the space. If he is in the outside world, it will cause the family's spiritual energy to be thin and affect the practice of other members of the clan. However, looking at the spiritual creatures all over the space, Li Zhirui's mind will become open and comfortable, which is a little helpful for cultivation. On this day, Li Zhirui called several spiritual beasts to his front. Decking, your accumulation is enough, but it is not so easy to break through due to the shackles of blood. Maybe you can try to purify your blood yourself. This is a method that Li Zhirui found in a corner after searching through various classics. I don't know if it is reliable. The method is also very simple, that is, to use a lot of mana to nourish a high-grade blood in the body, so that it continues to grow, thereby driving its own advancement. Does this method look very simple? But according to the records that Li Zhirui has read, the mana consumed by this method is a terrifying astronomical figure. If you don't take external objects and rely on your own cultivation, it will take at least 400 or 500 years. This is still a monster with a relatively rich high-level blood. If it is a little thinner, there will be no hope without 1,000 years. The most important thing is, this method cannot guarantee success. In other words, you may have worked hard to cultivate a spirit beast for hundreds of years, but in the end, you failed. However, Li Zhirui's family is big and powerful, so even if decking fails, it doesn't matter. At most, he can find ways to find those natural treasures that can improve the bloodline of the spirit beast. The main thing is that decking's cultivation is not improving at all, and he doesn't know what to do. It's also good to give him a direction to move forward. Zhaoking doesn't need to say much. His main thing now is to accumulate mana and break through the late 3rd level. But Zhaoking has the same problem as decking, that is, the bloodline is not high, and gradually can't keep up with Li Zhirui. And Li Zhirui has been thinking of ways to do this. For example, since he got the Phoenix Key grass hundreds of years ago, he has never stopped planting this 1st level spiritual medicine. The reason is very simple. The 4th level Phoenix Key grass can make the spirit bird produce a trace of Phoenix blood. You know, the Phoenix bloodline is the top bloodline in the demon race. Even if it's just a trace, it's enough for Zhaoking to qualify to cross the threshold of the 4th level. Unfortunately, after so many years, even with the acceleration of space, Li Zhirui has not cultivated the 4th order Fenki grass. There are many 3rd order Fenki grasses, which also gives Li Zhirui hope that one day, one of them can break through the shackles and become a 4th order spiritual creature. Zhaoking, on the other hand, has a 5th grade bloodline and excellent qualifications. With the nourishment of various spiritual creatures, his cultivation has improved very quickly. Now he is in the middle stage of the 2nd order. If he continues at this speed, it will take less than 20 to 30 years for him to break through the 3rd order, which is even faster than Li Zhirui back then. Therefore, Li Zhirui does not need to worry about Zhaoking's development. And it was through him that Li Zhirui knew what kind of spiritual plants those 4th order spiritual seeds he got from Yunlei were. Dragon Breath Spirit Tea. As the name suggests, the growth of this spiritual tea is closely related to the Dragon Clan, which is why no matter how hard Yunlei tries, he can't make the spiritual seeds germinate. Dragon Breath Tea is a very precious spiritual plant. It is not only effective in treating physical injuries, but also can strengthen the body. It is said that the Dragon Clan used Dragon Breath Tea as a snack for the little dragons to strengthen their bodies while eating and drinking. So as soon as the spiritual tea sprouted, Zhaoking abandoned his favorite fish lake and settled near several Dragon Breath Tea plants. If Li Zhirui had not repeatedly reminded him not to eat it now, I am afraid that Zhaoking would have eaten several seedlings. In fact, after Li Zhirui broke through the nascent soul, Li Zhiqing suggested that he contract another spiritual beast. Of course, the family will definitely try to find high-grade spiritual beasts. However, Li Zhirui did not agree. Although he was not short of resources, his vision gradually became higher after he had Zhaoking. Chapter 492 Encounter. Because it is obvious that it is almost impossible for the Li family to find a 5th level spirit beast that is suitable for Li Zhirui. As for the 3 spirit beasts of Hugan, there are enough spirit objects for them to consume. Although they have not yet broken through, their mana has increased a lot. After Li Zhirui arranged several spirit beasts, he announced to the public that he would retreat to practice. In addition to daily practice, his retreat this time was mainly to deduce spells and comprehend the law of purification. Li Zhirui did not lack attack and defense spells, but he did not have an outstanding escape method, so he had to spend some time on this aspect. As for comprehending the law, it was actually a bit exaggerated. Because he is just a small nascent soul cultivator now. Even if he chose a law when he transformed into a nascent soul, it was just spying a seed, and now is not the time for it to sprout. The primary task of the nascent soul realm is to transform the soul into yang, so as to break through the god transformation realm. Only at this time do you need to comprehend the law and work hard to ascend to the upper realm. What Li Zhirui wanted to comprehend the law was actually a vague feeling, and maybe there would be some gains. Brother, how about we go out and travel for a few days? Li Chengshu asked expectantly. Li Chengsheng thought about it, and finally nodded and agreed. The road of cultivating immortals and seeking the truth is definitely not something that can be achieved behind closed doors. And it just so happens that he has encountered a bottleneck now. Maybe going out for a walk can gain something and help him break through to the late stage of foundation building. Then why don't you calculate what we will encounter this time? No, Li Chengsheng refused immediately. The fortune teller does not calculate himself. Moreover, this kind of thing that is determined by the heart is full of variables. If you want to predict, you may have to pay a big price. In fact, during this period of time, not only Li Chengsheng and his brother went out, but many clansmen were also preparing to go out. This has a lot to do with the group of elders that Li Zhirui replaced. They are all very young, their blood has not cooled down, and their style of doing things is more bold and radical. So the two of them just reported to the family and flew out of Banyan Island. After several months of rushing, Zhang Fengwu finally arrived in King Lian's house. As soon as he stepped into here, a murderous aura rushed towards him. This place where bloody battles broke out almost all the time, even the air was filled with the smell of blood, and the ground under his feet was also stained dark red by countless blood. I hope this will be my new starting point, Zhang Fengwu murmured in a low voice. Because King Lian's house has always been a place for cultivators seeking breakthroughs, there is already a complete set of procedures. After Zhang Fengwu has dealt with all these trivial matters, he can consider whether to join someone else's team or form one on his own. No matter what it is, as long as it can kill demon cultivators, it is good. Zhang Fengwu thought for a while and decided to form a demon hunting team on his own. The reason why he did not choose to join other people's teams was that he suddenly entered a team and would disrupt their rhythm. The second reason was that Zhang Fengwu was unwilling to be inferior to others. However, because the team had just been formed and had no reputation, she was alone and looked very miserable. The next day, in the early morning, a sharp and piercing whistle sounded, which was a signal of the invasion of demon cultivators, and it also told the cultivators to prepare for defense. Except for Zhang Fengwu, who heard it for the first time and felt it was a bit novel, other cultivators had already prepared themselves and rushed to the place where the demon cultivators were, fearing that they would not be able to snatch an opponent. I didn't expect that the demon cultivators were so popular here, Zhang Fengwu said jokingly with a smile. Then she followed. Originally, she thought that there were no extra demon cultivators and she should just come to observe this time, but she didn't expect that a demon cultivator took the initiative to find Zhang Fengwu. Sir, why did you choose me? Facing the arrogant demon cultivator, Zhang Fengwu asked calmly, is it because I look easy to bully? Perhaps influenced by Li Zhirui, Zhang Fengwu also likes to pretend to be a pig and eat the tiger when he walks outside, deliberately concealing his true cultivation. You talk too much nonsense, the demon cultivator snorted impatiently, and black smoke billowed from his palm, with extremely strong corrosiveness, and rushed towards Zhang Fengwu. That's all you can do? You're too weak. You'd better surrender and avoid being tortured. Zhang Fengwu easily dispersed the black smoke halfway, and provoked the demon cultivator with a look of disdain. The demon cultivator, who was already emotionally unstable, was provoked by Zhang Fengwu one after another, and instantly lost his mind and attacked the surroundings like crazy. This kind of attack looks very powerful, but in fact, it won't take long before most of the mana will be consumed, and it is impossible to last long. I've played enough with you, it's time to end it, Zhang Fengwu said with a cold expression. The opponent was not Zhang Fengwu's opponent, not to mention that most of the mana was consumed now, and she easily took him down. Then he revealed his hidden cultivation level, which was not the early stage of the golden elixir as he thought, but the late stage of the golden elixir. It was considered to let him die with a clear mind. From this day on, Zhang Fengwu started his life in King Lian's house. Fights broke out every day, and both sides suffered casualties. Even Zhang Fengwu, who was in the late stage of the golden elixir, suffered several serious injuries. During this process, Zhang Fengwu attracted many monks to join his demon hunting team with his strong strength. However, Zhang Fengwu adhered to the attitude of striving for excellence and rejected most of the monks, leaving only a few. But if you know these monks, you will understand how good Zhang Fengwu's approach is. Attack, defense, assistance, treatment, reconnaissance, etc., all are gathered together, very comprehensive. These are the experiences and insights of Zhang Fengwu when she was the captain of the demon hunting team. Although it was many years ago, it is still deeply engraved in her sea of consciousness. Because of this, Zhang Fengwu's team always returns with a full load every time they go to hunt demon cultivators, which makes other monks envious. As a result, more and more people apply to join the team. One day, Zhang Fengwu and his group just came back from outside the city. Sister-in-law Jiayu. Why are you here? Li Zhirui looked at the person in front of her and asked in surprise. Zhang Fengwu was also surprised that Li Zhirui, who had not returned home for many years, would come here. I have encountered some problems in my practice, and I plan to seek a breakthrough opportunity here. I see, Li Zhirui said embarrassedly. I just happened to pass by and am about to return to the family. I wonder if sister-in-law Jiayu has anything to say that you need me to take back. Hearing this, Zhang Fengwu was even more surprised, but he did not show any expression on his face. He just said, wait a moment, then he took out a blank jade slip, engraved all the words he wanted to say on it, and asked Li Zhirui to take it back to Banyan Island. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 493 Hidden Dangers. Thank you for your help, Li Zhirui shook her head repeatedly and said with a smile, Brother Jiayu helped me so much, but it was just a small favor. I don't deserve such a solemn thank you from Sister Jiayu. After a pause, she said a little nervously, I don't know how the family has developed in recent years. Not bad. Zhirui broke through the nascent soul, but there is no other giant and cultivator except Chengru. Brother Jiayu broke through the nascent soul. Li Zhirui was surprised at first, but soon regained her composure and said as if talking to herself, with Brother Jiayu's talent, it is natural for him to achieve the nascent soul. Because they were not very familiar with each other, the conversation between the two was awkward and stiff. It was completely a question and answer format, and it was impossible to tell that they were from the same family. Sister Jiayu is training here. Is she trying to break through the nascent soul? Zhang Fengwu answered irrelevantly, I haven't come out to train for a long time, and my strength has regressed a lot. I want to take this opportunity to improve my strength, soon. Zhang Fengwu's team members ran over to call her to distribute the spoils of this outing. Excuse me, Li Zhirui said apologetically, sister-in-law, go and do your work. I won't bother you anymore, okay, I'll leave first. Be careful on your way back. Zhang Fengwu turned around and left. Li Zhirui was left alone, standing in the wilderness with an indescribably complicated expression. On the usually peaceful Banyan Island, the spiritual energy suddenly gathered towards one place, which immediately alarmed a large number of tribesmen. That place seems to be the cave of Aunt Zixuan, right? Yes. It looks like this aunt is about to break through. I heard that she has 4 spiritual roots, and the purity of her spiritual roots is not high. She can actually break through to the middle stage of the golden elixir. It's really amazing. Before, because Li Zhixuan spent most of her time outside training, many tribesmen didn't know her existence. But with these few battles, Li Zhixuan's outstanding performance and her unique spirit beast without a contract were remembered by many tribesmen. And when more of Li Zhixuan's situation was dug out, she instantly became an idol of the younger generation. Especially those tribesmen with poor qualifications. In their minds, Li Zhixuan is more powerful than Li Zhirui and more worthy of their admiration. But for Li Zhirui, Li Shiking and other senior leaders, Li Zhixuan's breakthrough is nothing surprising. Although her spiritual roots are poor, her talent in swordsmanship can be regarded as excellent. If it were not for the need to consolidate the foundation, with a large number of elixirs provided by Li Zhirui, Li Zhixuan would have been able to break through long ago. The fluctuation of spiritual energy did not last too long. About 2/4 of an hour, accompanied by a murderous and sharp sword intent, it soared into the sky, and the spiritual energy gradually returned to calm. But this breakthrough left an extremely deep impression on many tribesmen. The sword intent in the air frightened many tribesmen, but also made some tribesmen yearn for it and want to become sword cultivators. Mom, I want to be a majestic and powerful sword cultivator, and I don't want to contract a spirit beast. A child who looked only 5 or 6 years old was entangled with a woman on the side of the road. The voice was so loud that it attracted the attention of many tribesmen passing by. However, they just took a look and continued to do their own things, as if they were used to it. In fact, it was true. Since the day Li Zhixuan broke through, many children living in the clan have pestered their parents, wanting to become a sword cultivator. Although the family rules stipulate that the spiritual root test will only start on the last day of each year, if the parents are both cultivators, they will secretly test their children on the second day after their children turn 5 years old in order to prepare in advance. If there are spiritual roots, then start to polish the body and meridians. If there are no spiritual roots, then you can also prepare for separation from the child. However, Li Zhirui, who just came out of retreat today because his Taoist partner and children are all out training, feels lonely in the cave alone, and comes out to relax, knows nothing about this. It also feels very strange. When did the family become so obsessed with sword cultivation? What happened during his retreat? Speaking of Li Zhirui's retreat for more than half a year, the 2 goals he set at the beginning have not been completed. The escape method has just started, and the rest will take a long time to carefully carve and perfect. As for the perception of the law, there was no clue and no progress. Li Zhirui went to investigate the cause of this matter with doubts. After a while, he knew what was going on. It was nothing more than those children who felt that the sword cultivators were majestic and powerful, so they yearned for it. It seemed to be just the simple cognition of the children, but Li Zhirui saw a problem from it, that is, the composition of the cultivators of the Li family was too single. From Li Shiking to the latest generation of cultivators, almost all the clan members practice the Wanling Sutra. There are many advantages to doing this, such as having very rich experience, and the future generations will not encounter problems as long as they practice step by step. But there is also a huge hidden danger. Once other forces discover the weakness of the Wanling Sutra and target it, the strength of the Li family will be greatly reduced in an instant. Of course, this probability is very small. After all, it is unlikely that a practice method that can be created and has at least a practice method of the refining void realm will have obvious weaknesses. Besides the Wanling Jing, the Li family now has a high-level method. Most of the other cultivation methods can only be cultivated to the golden core. There is only one Taizun Fang Daojing that can be cultivated to the nascent soul. But even this is still incomplete, with only the methods for the early stage of the nascent soul, and no one knows where the rest of the content is. The most important thing is, the Li family only collected these methods, and did not have the experience and insights left by the predecessors. Everything needs to be figured out by the new generation themselves. And this will undoubtedly slow down their cultivation speed. But the problem is not solved, and Li Zhirui feels that it is not right. After thinking about it, Li Zhirui finally decided to ask Li Shiking for his opinion. Second Grandpa, after greeting, he expressed his concerns. Don't worry so much. Li Shiking seemed a little confused and felt that Li Zhirui was too worried. After all, it is very common for a force to practice a method, because it is more conducive to cultivating the younger generation. As long as we ensure that the Wanling Sutra is not leaked out, it will not be cracked by other forces. Li Zhirui shook his head and smiled bitterly. Second Grandpa, have you forgotten that there is another force that also practices the Wanling Sutra? Moreover, the Li family's understanding of the Wanling Sutra is not necessarily higher than that of the beast-taming sect after all. They have been practicing this technique for thousands of years, and the Li family has been practicing it for less than 500 years at most. Chapter 494, Spirit Testing. Hearing this, Li Shiking frowned. Indeed, the beast-taming sect, which is now unknown, is indeed a trouble for the family. But Li Shiking still disagrees with Li Zhirui's desire to promote the clan members to practice other exercises. Incomplete exercises are a problem, but to be honest, it is not very serious. After all, the methods of the Golden Core realm are enough. It is definitely not something that ordinary people can do to achieve the nascent soul, like Li Zhirui. Even Li Shiking has no confidence in all the clan members in the family now. The main reason is that there is no guidance from the predecessors, and they need to explore on their own. But the problem is that the new batch of clan members will only be 8 years old when they practice. Even if they are precocious, how much can they know about cultivation? By then, it will not only delay their cultivation, but it is also likely to ruin their lives. Li Zhirui also knew Li Shiking's concerns. After thinking for a while, he said, but if we don't do it now, it will be even more impossible in the future. As for what you are worried about, I will personally instruct those children. When they grow up, let them communicate with each other and support each other in their exploration. What do you think? As the saying goes, one law can lead to all laws. Although Li Zhirui has not reached such a high level, he is still qualified and capable to instruct young cultivators. He just needs to take some time and energy to understand those methods and explain them to the children. But not now, because they still need to polish their meridians and bodies for 3 years. And it is not to let all children give up the Wanling Sutra. After all, this is the foundation of the Li family and it is absolutely unshakable. Having more cultivation methods is just for safety. It mainly depends on whether they have other talents, and secondly, it depends on their own willingness. But if it is like Li Zhirui, who has poor qualifications and no special talents, the family still recommends that he practice the Wanling Sutra. At least now the family can provide a large number of third-grade spirit beasts. With this blessing, there may be opportunities to break through the foundation in the future. After the efforts of the animal trainers headed by Li Zhirui, after so many years of cultivation, the family has now formed several groups of third-grade spirit beasts. In addition to the spirit beasts in the hands of the clan members, they must mate regularly every year to provide a sufficient number of cubs. You have done this, can I still refuse? Li Zhirui shook his head. He knew how persistent Li Zhirui was in this matter. When the new clan leader Li Zhufang saw the order issued by Li Zhirui, his eyes were full of confusion. He didn't understand why he did this. But the two giants of the family agreed, and he could only do as he was told and announce the content. Starting this year, all new generation children with spiritual roots can freely choose the practice method, and the family no longer requires everyone to practice the Wanling Sutra. Li Zhirui would personally guide this matter, but it was not written in, but just a few dozen words, but it set off a storm in the family. All the clan members discussed this matter, some agreed, some disagreed. But the matter has been settled and will not change. Time passed quickly like running water. And in a blink of an eye, it was the end of the year. A few months later, Li Zhirui hid his body, wanting to see if there were any children with good qualifications and suitable for practicing other methods among this batch of children. It's already the named generation and the Xian generation, and there are even Hong generations. Li Zhirui flipped through the list and sighed. Time flies so fast. Jing Jixi Ufangayu, Chunchi Shizicheng, Daxu Winmingsen, Hongsen Tea Ungsen. This is the 20th generation of the Li family, and now the family has been passed down to the 16th generation. One by one, the children walked into the spirit testing formation. Some showed their spiritual roots, while others showed no reaction and cried with a pursed mouth. Although they are not very old, they have long known the importance of spiritual roots under the influence of their parents. Now they have no spiritual roots, so they are naturally very sad. Sure enough, it's too difficult to find a person with good qualifications. So far, Li Zhirui has seen thousands of tribesmen, but no one has appeared that caught his eye. However, he has memorized many children with good qualifications. As long as nothing unexpected happens, they can all break through the foundation building stage, and even the golden elixir stage has some chances. Bored and wanting to leave, Li Zhirui saw a strange light column out of the corner of his eye. The light column was light blue, and the sound of wind could be faintly heard from it. This was the manifestation of the wind spiritual root. Li Zhirui looked at the owner of the light column, a boy with light blue eyes. Seeing that he also had spiritual roots, he couldn't help but grin. From a secular tribe, if the parents were cultivators, they would have known that I had spiritual roots long ago, and they would not have shown this at all. Moreover, if Li Zhirui was not wrong, this child might also have a spirit body with wind attributes. If that's the case, it's suitable for practicing the Taiyi Zunfeng Daojing, but Li Zhirui was a little hesitant. Such a good seedling, if practicing the Wanling Jing, might have a higher achievement. Let's see what he chooses first. Li Zhirui shook his head, suppressed all kinds of complicated thoughts, and also gave up the idea of leaving early. In order to save time, the 2 rounds of tests were carried out together. Children with spiritual roots went directly to test the purity of their spiritual roots, and those without returned to the resting place and waited to be sent back together. So soon, it was the turn of the child that Li Zhirui paid attention to. Ancestor, the deacon in charge of the test, was startled by the sudden appearance of Li Zhirui. Don't pay attention to me, just pretend I don't exist. Li Zhirui waved his hand and acted casually. This deacon was really a bit big-hearted. After hearing what he said, he really calmed down and shouted, next, in order to protect the privacy of each tribe member, when testing the purity of spiritual roots, they all went into small rooms. In addition to the person himself, there was only the deacon in charge of the test. But the child obviously didn't know this, and walked forward nervously, holding the spirit measuring ruler as instructed. Instantly, a cyan light rose from the bottom, and in the blink of an eye, it occupied 80% of the spirit measuring ruler. And it was still slowly climbing. The deacon was stunned for a moment, and thinking of Li Zhirui who suddenly appeared, he understood it all at once. In the end, the light science spiritual light occupied 90% of the spirit measuring ruler, and the rest was occupied by green light. Wind and wood dual spiritual roots. The purity of the wind spiritual root is as high as 90%. The deacon seemed to see the future Jidan's Henren, or even Yuanying's Henjin. Li Zhirui was also a little surprised. He didn't expect the purity of this kid's spiritual root to be so high, and then said, use the spirit measuring plate to test it again. The spirit measuring plate is more comprehensive. It can not only measure the spiritual root, but also the spiritual body. Chapter 495 Return. As for why they didn't use the spirit testing disc directly at the beginning, the reason is also very simple, that is, it is too expensive. Each activation requires hundreds of spirit stones. You know, the Li family has developed to this point, and there are already more than 10,000 children who need to test their spirit roots every year. If you use the spirit testing disc, just testing the spirit roots will cost millions of spirit stones every year. And the efficiency is very low, only one can be tested each time. So generally, the spirit testing formation is used first, and then the spirit testing ruler is used. In the end, only those children with better qualifications will use the spirit testing disc. Li Zhirui looked at the spirit body displayed on the spirit testing disc, and thought to himself, as expected. Zunfeng's spirit body. It can be said that the child in front of him is the most suitable candidate for practicing the Taiyi Zunfeng Daojing. Is your generation name Ming, Xian, or Huang? What's your name? Secular clansmen are not allowed to add generation names to their names, but there are always records in the family tree. My father said that I am of the Xian generation, and my name is Li Sun. Although he didn't know Li Zhirui, it was not difficult to see that he had a noble identity. Could it be that this child is really the destined person? Otherwise, all this is too coincidental. First it was the Zunfeng spirit body, and then it was a name with a character. Then you will be called Li Xiangxin in the future. Li Zhirui woke up instantly and said, don't tell others about what happened today. I will come to you again in 3 years. The child was confused, but nodded obediently. Among this group of children, except for Li Xiangxin, the qualifications of the others were average and did not bring Li Zhirui a second surprise. After the spirit test conference ended, all the children moved into the Linghu Academy, which had been expanded several times, the next day and began their 3-year closed training. Spring is coming, time always passes inadvertently. When Li Zhirui came out again, the cold had retreated, green sprouts were sprouting, and all things were flourishing. Li Zhirui's peripheral vision accidentally caught a glimpse of a returning swallow, and then turned back to the lonely and deserted cave. Let alone Zhang Fengwu, after all, she is going to cross a great realm. In the next few years, or even more than 10 years, she is unlikely to come back. Li Zhirui had been mentally prepared for this. However, Li Chengsheng and Li Chengshu, the two siblings, have been traveling for almost a year, and no one has been seen yet. If it weren't for the fact that the life cards were safe and sound, and knowing that they were going to Qingshan province, with the trump cards in their hands, there would be no danger to their lives. Li Zhirui would have planned to go find the two siblings in person. Clearing away distracting thoughts, Li Zhirui sat cross-legged on the futon and continued to perfect the water and wood escape technique. The ordinary wood escape technique, which is called escape technique, is actually more like a spell hidden in the body of flowers, plants and trees. If you want to transfer it to other plants, there must be a connection between the two. Compared with the more common water escape technique and earth escape technique, the wood escape technique has a lot of restrictions. After all, not every place has plants. The water and wood escape technique envisioned by Li Zhirui can be transformed between water and wood. Although it weakens the problem of the wood escape technique, it still exists, but it is better than before. In fact, according to Li Zhirui's original plan, the escape technique he deduced can be integrated into the ubiquitous water spirit and wood spirit between heaven and earth. If it is really completed, then where in the world can Li Zhirui not go? Of course, the premise is not to go to other people's confidential and dangerous places to die. But the problem is that the difficulty is too great. With Li Zhirui's current realm, he can't see where the end is at all. He only feels it in the dark. It is absolutely impossible to do it without hundreds of years of concentrating on understanding. Although Li Zhirui still has 600 to 700 years of life, it is not impossible to comprehend it, but it is not realistic to think about it. Not to mention the influence of the outside world. When Li Zhirui really comprehends it, he may only have 100 or 200 years of life left. Unless a miracle occurs, it is impossible to break through to the spirit. The cultivator seeks the Tao for immortality. For a spell, giving up the possibility of immortality is completely a foolish act. Therefore, the seemingly powerful escape method will only exist in Li Zhirui's mind, and he will talk about it when he breaks through to a higher realm in the future. It was several months later when Li Zhirui came out of seclusion again. Li Chengsheng and Li Changshu, the two brothers and sisters, still did not come back. But someone who he didn't expect came back. Why is she back? Li Zhirui reached out and took a few communication talismans at the door. The owner of the first one was Li Zhirui, who had not returned home for decades. Looking at the content of the communication, Li Zhirui's face was a little strange. Li Zhirui actually met Zhang Fengwu, who was training in King Lian's Hao, and asked her to bring a letter back. After thinking about it, Li Zhirui did not go to Li Zhirui immediately, but went to Li Shiking instead. Second grandfather, Zhirui is back. Do you want to give her a copy of the Infant Transformation Enlightenment? Although he was also very disappointed with Li Zhirui, he would not refuse this matter if it could enhance the strength of the family. It was only because Li Shiking was very dissatisfied with her that Li Zhirui came here to ask about it. But what he didn't know was that Li Shiking's dissatisfaction with Li Zhirui had long disappeared under the scouring of the power of time. Call her over, and you can observe her and make plans based on Zhiruyu's situation. Li Zhirui thought so too. If Li Zhirui was still trapped in her obsession, even if he gave her the experience of nascent soul and the method he created, it would be useless. However, when Li Zhirui arrived, the first time Li Zhirui saw her, he knew that she had come out of it. Although he didn't know what Li Zhirui had experienced over the years, he was still very happy that she could get out of her obsession. Not to mention whether she could break through the nascent soul, even if she reached a late stage of golden core, it would relieve him of a lot of pressure. At least many things no longer needed Li Zhirui to come forward and solve them personally. Ninth brother, long time no see. Li Zhirui smiled gently, bowed to Li Zhirui solemnly, and said, "If it weren't for the talisman left by the ninth brother, I would have died now." Zhirui owes the ninth brother a life. In the future, if it is the ninth brother's order, I will never back down even if it means going through fire and water. Li Zhirui was amused and cried by this move, and waved his hand and said, "Not really. It's good to be able to help." It seems that it should be this life and death crisis that made Li Zhirui wake up and get out of her obsession. Seeing that she was about to speak, Li Zhirui hurriedly spoke up and interrupted, "You should practice well in the future and break through the nascent soul, which is the greatest reward for me." Li Shiking on the side did not entangle with this matter, but said, "Zhirui broke through the nascent soul that year and created a method of transforming the nascent soul, as well as some experience. You can take it back and study it carefully, don't let us down." Now, Li Zhirui was the person closest to the nascent soul in the family. Chapter 496, Chasing. If even Li Zhirui can't break through, then in the next 50 years, the Li family will not be able to produce a second nascent soul cultivator. Li Zhirui suddenly felt a strong pressure coming. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, just do your best. Li Zhirui saw her uneasiness and immediately spoke to comfort her. "I know." Having said that, Li Zhirui didn't relax. After returning to the cave, Li Zhirui began to retreat to comprehend the nascent soul method and the breakthrough experience, and she was determined not to come out of retreat until she broke through. Although Li Zhirui had prepared herself mentally, she still felt dizzy when she saw the content. If she didn't read Li Zhirui's notes, she didn't understand what they meant in many places. But even so, Li Zhirui estimated that it would take at least several years for her to understand these two thin jade slips. There was no movement from Li Zhirui for the time being, but another member of the clan brought a surprise to the family. Li Chenglin actually succeeded in breaking through in the outside world. When he returned to Banyan Island with his golden elixir cultivation, he attracted the attention of countless tribesmen, who came forward to ask about his experience. It was Li Shiking's call that saved him. Otherwise, facing the enthusiastic tribesmen, Li Chenglin didn't know when he could get away. Qingshan Prefecture, which is only a few hundred miles away from Banyan Island and is used by the Li family as a training ground for the tribesmen. Li Chengsheng and Li Changshu came out of the forest in a somewhat embarrassed manner. It was not because they encountered any danger, but because they stayed in the Qingshan Mountains for too long. Maybe they were too unlucky. As soon as they walked out of the mountains, they encountered a huge thunderstorm. In this situation, the two dared not drive the spirit ship at all, and could only find a cave to hide. "I don't know how long this rain will last," Li Chengshuo now wanted to return to Wangxin Island immediately, but he was stopped by the thunderstorm here, and he was extremely unhappy. Silence. Li Chengshen, who had been indifferent, suddenly became serious and activated 2 third-level invisibility talismans without hesitation and attached them to the two people. What's wrong? Li Chengshuo was confused, but out of trust in his brother, he did not resist, but just asked in confusion. Li Chengsheng did not respond to her voice transmission, but stared at the cave entrance, looking very alert. Really? Even if there is something important to discuss, you don't have to run to the edge of the mountain, right? An impatient voice complained. It's raining heavily, and you hide in this cave of who knows what kind of beast it is. The recent actions of the holy sect have revealed a lot of flaws. Another voice said very calmly, don't you find that there are many unfamiliar faces around you these days? Just this conversation made Li Chengsheng and his sister feel uneasy. Because the self-proclaimed holy sect can only be used by demon cultivators. There is no doubt that these two people are demon cultivators. Okay, I can't argue with you, the impatient voice continued. When the top leaders of Lingayan sect fall into our hands, Qingshan province will be ours. Li Chengshuo and the others were horrified when they heard this. Even if they racked their brains, they could not have thought that among the 3 major forces in Qingshan province, the Zuanhao Fan family and the Muling sect were controlled by the demon cultivators. Li Chengsheng thought more. The Fan family and the Muling sect had more giant and cultivators than the Li family. They could control the 2 major forces silently. I'm afraid there must be a demon cultivator in the nascent soul realm. Be careful, there must be no mistakes in the last step, otherwise, not only will the various arrangements before, but also the Xing sect will be implicated. Most importantly, the lives of the 2 of them will be in danger. I'll do it, don't worry, the man said confidently. I've thought of a way. I'll invite the top leaders of Lingayan sect to discuss this matter under the pretext of joining forces to fight against the Li family and Shenlai Mountain. I'll take them down at lightning speed while they are unprepared. Well, not bad. Another demon cultivator thought this method was very good and nodded with satisfaction. As long as we successfully control Qingshan province, the 2 of us will be the biggest contributors. At that time, the holy sect will definitely not treat us unfairly. Maybe we can take this opportunity to go further. Ha ha ha. Thinking of the bright future, the demon cultivator couldn't help laughing out loud. It was pouring outside the cave, and it didn't look like it would stop in a short time. Li Chengsheng and Li Chengshuo were also in trouble because of this. The 3rd level invisibility talisman will become invalid soon. Even if Li Chengsheng still had the invisibility talisman in his hand, he couldn't use it, because the spiritual energy fluctuations when activating the talisman would cause the talisman on his body to become invalid immediately. And with the strength of the 2 people in the foundation building realm, facing 2 giant and demon cultivators can be said to be courting death. When I count to 3, we will activate the escaping talisman and leave here first. After escaping, do not stay in Qingshan province. We will meet up directly at the family, Li Chengsheng said in a voice transmission. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Before he finished speaking, Li Chengsheng did not activate the talisman as he said, but waited for a breath before activating the escaping talisman on his palm. The reason why Li Chengsheng did this was mainly to focus the attention of the 2 demon cultivators on him and give Li Chengshuo more chances to escape. Not good, damn it. How could there be a cultivator in this cave? The brother and sister left one after another, which made the 2 demon cultivators shocked and angry. It was obvious that their conversation just now was heard by the 2 foundation building cultivators. Once the news leaked, Lingayan sect would definitely be on guard, and more importantly, their plan would be made public. The Li family and Shenlai Mountain next to them would never allow Qingshan province to be occupied by demon cultivators. After all, this place is unique, with the Qingshan Mountains, a place suitable for low-level cultivators to practice and rich in resources. If it was occupied by cultivators, the 2 families could send disciples and clansmen to share a share, but if it became a place for demon cultivators, then the resources in the Qingshan Mountains would be completely out of their reach. This is something the 2 families absolutely did not want to see. Divide the troops into 2 groups and make sure to catch them. At the same time, notify the others and mobilize everyone. What if the 2 of them escape? We can only take action in advance and contact the holy sect for support. However, once they do this, let alone get rewards from the holy sect, it would be good if they can offset their merits and demerits and not be punished. One message after another, Through the precious communication artifact, let all the high-level demon cultivators in Kingshan State know about this. Two idiots, some demon cultivators gloated over the misfortune, while others cursed. The former had nothing to do with them, but the latter was inseparable from the matter. Even if they were not the ones who exposed it, they were also the ones responsible for this matter, and the punishment of the holy sect would not spare them. Chapter 497 Projection. Although Li Changsheng's appearance was only revealed for a moment, it was still remembered clearly. The demon cultivators within the Muling sect took action and sent Li Changsheng's appearance to various immortal cities, on the grounds that he had stolen a very precious secret treasure. Anyone who could capture him alive and hand him over, the Muling sect would repay him with a golden elixir. Even if you just submit clues, there are good rewards. They even spread the matter to the Lingayan sect and the Zhuanghao family with great fanfare, hoping that the two families could help, and made a heartwarming promise. The Fan family is easy to say, and they are also controlled by the demon cultivators, so they will definitely cooperate actively. But the Lingayan sect is not necessarily the case. Although the three families are huddled together for warmth, they are also competing secretly in private, wanting to become the boss of this alliance. Now that they can see that the Muling sect is in trouble, the Lingayan sect is naturally happy to see it happen. The demon cultivators also thought of this, and the Lingayan sect is located in the southeast of Kingshan State, close to Yunping State in the Infinite Sea. Knowing that the remaining two families have fallen into the clutches of the demons, Li Changsheng and his men will definitely flee here. Therefore, while the demon cultivators were searching the territory, they also kept a close watch on the border, not giving Li Changsheng any chance to escape. However, because Li Changshuo's invisibility talisman was still in effect when he activated the escaping talisman, they did not see his appearance. They only knew that he was a female cultivator who was building a foundation. With such invalid clues, the demon cultivators had no way to start, so they could only target Li Changsheng alone. At the same time, all cultivators were prohibited from leaving Kingshan Province. Kingshan Province has actually become a demon cave. Li Changsheng, who had escaped, had a calm face full of shock and fear. But now there was no time for him to sigh too much. After knowing where he was, Li Changsheng hurriedly flew towards Lingayan sect. This was the only major force in Kingshan Province that was not controlled by demon cultivators. Even if they could not tell them directly about the matter, it would be safer than other places, and it would be easier to leave Kingshan Province. Fortunately, the place where Li Changsheng escaped was in the wild. If he entered the fairy city, cultivators were not allowed to enter or leave. But when Li Changsheng finally arrived at the border, he immediately discovered that there were a large number of cultivators wearing the clothes of the Wood Spirit sect, patrolling back and forth. It seems that I can't escape in the near future. Li Changshuo didn't dare to show up. He knew his own strength very well. Moreover, there were foundation-building cultivators among this group of cultivators. Now they could only hope that Li Changshuo could escape and bring the news back to the family. Woof woof woof. Just as Li Changsheng was about to retreat and find a hidden place to hide, a spirit dog suddenly barked loudly in his direction. Who's there? Come out. The patrolling cultivators instantly offered their magic weapons and were ready to go. Not good. Li Changsheng's face changed drastically. He didn't care about being exposed now. He immediately rushed towards the territory of Lingayan sect at his fastest speed. Don't think about escaping. Although they didn't see Li Changsheng's appearance, his actions were tantamount to telling them that he was the person they were looking for. All the cultivators were excited for a while. They didn't know what was going on with Li Changsheng. They only knew that the sect had issued a very generous reward for him. This was their chance to ascend to heaven in one step. The moment the spirit boat took off, they also launched an attack, and various spiritual lights attacked Li Changsheng. Sunfire. Literal, Li Changsheng summoned two spirit beasts without hesitation, the third-grade Chao Yongru and the fourth-grade Li Zhirui. The moment they came out, they spewed spiritual fire at the same time, trying to stop their attack. He continued to drive the spirit boat, trying to break through their defenses and escape to the Lingayan sect's territory. Just surrender. We have notified the nearest uncles, and they will be here in no time. The voice was carried to Li Changsheng's ears by the breeze, which made him more and more anxious, but he had no intention of giving up, and his movements became more and more violent. If you don't want to die, get out of here. Li Changshuo activated two third-level talismans and threw them into the crowd. Level 3 talisman, get out of the way. No, if he escapes, we can't escape the sect's punishment. If it was in the past, The punishment would not be life-threatening no matter how severe it was, but now it is different. The punishment has become very harsh, and it can easily lead to death. On the contrary, if you can forcibly withstand the attack of the level 3 talisman, you may still have a chance of survival. When the others heard this, they trembled all over and stopped their steps to escape. In the end, most of the cultivators gritted their teeth and continued to block Li Chengsheng. Why is it so? All the high-level people in the wood spirit sect have been controlled by the demon cultivators. They are no longer cultivators, but demon cultivators. You stole the sect's treasure, and now you are still spreading rumors to confuse the people. You should be killed. Most of the cultivators did not believe it. But there were also a small number of cultivators who felt that the sect had changed too strangely in recent years, and a seed of doubt grew in their hearts. Although Li Chengsheng felt sad for them, he still rushed forward without hesitation because it involved his own life and the safety of his family. Just as he was about to break through the siege and escape from this dangerous place, a terrifying momentum erupted in the distance and shot towards this place. Ho ha, the Uncle Master is here. Just surrender. Li Chengsheng looked at him with a look of idiot, but the speed of the spirit bolt did not slow down at all. It smoothly passed the crowd and entered the territory of Lingayan sect. Seeing that the giant and demon cultivator was getting closer and closer, Li Chengsheng activated 2 third-level talismans again to stop him temporarily. But these were the last 2 third-level talismans he had. Although he still had the life-saving item given to him by Li Zhirui, Li Chengsheng did not want to use them unless he was really in a desperate situation. Li Chengsheng ran forward without considering his mana, trying to get rid of the other party. But unfortunately, the power of the 2 third-level talismans was limited and did not stop him for too long. After a moment, he caught up. Li Chengsheng was only a foundation-building cultivator, and his mana was limited. Not long after, he was forced to stop because of insufficient mana. Run. Why don't you keep running? Aren't you a very good runner? The giant and demon cultivator looked at him with a playful expression, his eyes flashing with frightening cruelty. Do you think you can beat me? The demon cultivator saw that Li Chengsheng was calm, and for some reason, he suddenly felt a strong sense of uneasiness in his heart. He didn't dare to play with him anymore, and immediately slapped him with a palm, wanting to end his life directly. Buzz! But at the moment he made a move, Li Chengsheng solemnly activated an extremely mysterious jade talisman. Li Zhirui, who was far away on Banyan Island, was refining the elixir. He instantly realized that the soul-distributing jade talisman he gave to Li Chengsheng was activated, and immediately projected his consciousness over. Chapter 498 Gap. Boom. A terrifying momentum instantly erupted from Li Zhirui's projection. Within a radius of hundreds of miles, this raging rage could be felt. As the demon cultivator who faced Li Zhirui's pressure, he trembled all over and could not move. Li Zhirui, the demon cultivator's face changed instantly, and he looked at Li Chengsheng with a dead look. What is your relationship? How could you have his soul-dividing jade talisman? The soul-dividing jade talisman is a special magic weapon made from a wisp of the soul of the Yuanying's engine and a precious 4th-level gem. The more accurate adjective should be called a talisman treasure. Generally speaking, a jade talisman can only be used 3 times, and the strength of the Yuanying projection will weaken as the number of summons increases. Why is Li Chengsheng unwilling to use the soul-dividing jade talisman? Because every time Li Zhirui refines a jade talisman, he has to spend several years to restore his soul. So he doesn't want to use the jade talisman unless it is absolutely necessary. Li Zhirui refined a total of 3 soul-dividing jade talismans, which he gave to Zhang Fengwu, Li Chengsheng and Li Changshuo respectively. Shenzhe, why is there a demon cultivator in Qingshan province, and a giant and demon cultivator? Li Zhirui just pointed casually, and the man was struck by lightning and collapsed to the ground. The gap between Yuanying and Jiandan is so terrifying. Even a projection that does not have even 1/10 of the power of the original body can easily crush a Jiandan. Dad, Shu'er and I were training in Qingshan province, and accidentally, Li Changshuo immediately told the news they heard in the cave. The demon cultivator who collapsed to the ground knew that he had no hope of survival after hearing this name. It's not that he didn't know that Li Zhirui had a pair of children. After all, this was very important information. But Li Zhirui also knew that Li Chengsheng and Li Changshuo were very easy to be targeted, so he asked a brother and sister to change their appearance and disguise themselves when they went out. When Li Chengru broke through the Jiandan and could refine a 3rd-level magic weapon, Li Zhirui asked him for help to refine a mask magic weapon that could change appearance and breath. So he couldn't see through Li Chengsheng's true appearance, and naturally couldn't know his identity. If he knew, he would not let Li Chengsheng go, but he would definitely be more careful. Li Zhirui, who was far away in Banyan Island, looked more and more solemn, and said in a deep voice, "Have you and Shu'er separated?" As Li Chengsheng had thought before, there must be a Yuaning demon cultivator behind the two major giant forces who could control them silently. Li Zhirui naturally thought of it. Yes, but Shu'er should be on her way back to Banyan Island. After all, the demon cultivators didn't know her appearance, and hadn't heard of her being captured. Then you should also hurry back. This matter. The family will take care of it. I will leave for home immediately. Before the projection dissipated, Li Zhirui took action to completely wipe out the demon cultivator, and at the same time sent Li Chengsheng away to prevent him from being caught by the demon cultivator. But it seems that no demon cultivator dared to approach at this time. But Li Chengsheng didn't dare to slack off at all, and hurriedly drove the spirit boat to the northeast. Muling Mountain, somewhere in the sect hall. Minky's life tablet is broken, a voice suddenly sounded in the dark space. Wasn't he patrolling the border? How could he die for no reason? I don't know, but I think it has something to do with the monk who escaped. Are you kidding? That man is just a foundation-building monk. Even if Minky's strength is average, it's impossible for him to die at the hands of a foundation-building monk, right? The man stopped talking and looked like he was convinced. But in fact, he just didn't want to argue with others. Minky's death may mean that the monk escaped. I'm afraid it won't be long before the news spreads. Let's think about what to do now. Another voice suddenly sounded. We can only take the initiative and take down Lingayan sect before it can react, and then completely infect Qingshan province with demons, a passionate voice said. Even if the Li family or Shanli mountain comes to our door, we have the ability to resist. If we add the support of the holy sect, we can completely defend this place. Isn't it too risky? Do you want to try the punishment of the holy sect? A faint voice sounded. As soon as these words came out, all the voices of opposition disappeared instantly. They were high and mighty in the eyes of those low-level demon cultivators, but at the same time, they were just walking spirits in the eyes of high-level demon cultivators. Everyone, then take action. Don't worry about those two cultivators. One command after another was issued from this dark room, and then it returned to silence again. However, Li Zhirui's consciousness returned to his original body, and he didn't care about the precious elixir that failed to be refined in front of him, and hurried to the family hall. At the same time, he did not forget to notify all the elders of the family, as well as the two elders Li Shiqing and Li Shilian. Li Zufeng, the new clan leader who had just taken office, muttered to himself after receiving the message from Li Zhirui, I don't know what happened to alarm this ancestor. The elders filed in and sat in their seats, trying to find out if anyone else had any other news. Greetings, ancestor. When Li Zhirui came in, everyone immediately stood up to greet him. No need to be polite, sit down first, there are still two elders who haven't arrived yet. After Li Zhirui finished speaking, he sat on his chair and began to close his eyes to rest. Soon, Li Shiqing and Li Shilian arrived together. As soon as the two sat down, Li Shiqing couldn't wait to ask, Zhirui, what happened? Why are you so anxious to gather everyone? Shenzhe and Shu'er accidentally heard the conspiracy of the demon cultivators when they were training outside. After finishing this long speech, Li Zhirui paused and then continued, what do you think about this matter? Of course, we will make this matter public, and then summon the cultivators to Qingshan province to slay demons and punish evil and promote good. That's right, as expected of the young generation of the ruling team, they are so simple, direct and passionate in considering the problem. Maybe their answers are not perfect, but they make Li Zhirui admire them very much, but that's all. It's impossible to do it according to what they say. Because every member of the family is precious. Li Zhirui does not object to the people of the family going through the trials of blood and fire, and even welcomes it. Because it can train them well. But it is impossible to send them to die in this battlefield like a flesh-crushing machine. You know, Li Zhirui instructed Li Chengsheng to complete one thing on the way back, which was to spread the news that the demon cultivators had controlled the Pham family and the Muling sect. As long as the Lingayan sect was prepared, it would not be so easy for the demon cultivators to succeed. Chapter 499 Strategy. Lingayan sect definitely wants to defend its territory and heritage, but its strength is limited, so it may be able to hold on at the beginning. During this period of time, Lingayan sect will become a very terrifying battlefield, with a large number of cultivators and demon cultivators fighting here, and people are falling all the time. However, over time, Lingayan sect, which is already insufficient in strength, will definitely retreat in front of the powerful demon cultivators. If you don't want to cut off your inheritance, don't want to die, or be controlled by demon cultivators, you can only ask for help from the Li family or Shenli Mountain. Although Shenli Mountain is stronger, the problem is that it is too far away, and there is also the Muling sect blocking it in the middle, so there is no time to support it. Then the only person to ask for help is the Li family next door. So Li Zhirui's plan is to wait until Lingayan sect can't hold on, and take the initiative to ask the Li family to take action. And if you want the Li family to take action, it will naturally cost some price. Li Zhirui is not a greedy person. As long as Lingayan sect is willing to submit to the Li family and become a vassal under its command, he will personally lead the tribesmen to fight. After driving away the demon cultivator, the Li family will be able to legitimately accept all the resources occupied by Lingayan sect in Qingshan province. Of course, Lingayan sect may also feel that they are no match for the demon cultivator after hearing the news, and take the initiative to abandon the mountain gate, hand over, and escape from Qingshan province with important figures. But this possibility is relatively small. It's not that Lingayan sect doesn't want to escape, but there is no way to escape. Before, when Li Zhirui killed the giant and demon cultivator, he thought of all the subsequent plans. Because of the sudden death of the demon cultivator only needs to investigate a little to know what happened. Unless they are willing to abandon Qingshan province, they will only choose to attack Lingayan sect in advance and catch the Lingayan sect off guard. In addition, even if Lingayan sect heard the news, its first reaction would be to investigate to see if the situation is true, rather than packing up and leaving immediately. And the opportunity for Lingayan sect to escape disappeared between this plus and minus. Zhirui, what do you think of this matter? Li Shiqing asked when he saw that Li Zhirui was hesitant to speak. I plan to take this opportunity to see if I can incorporate Qingshan province into the family's territory, Li Zhirui said his plan. These younger elders have not been trained too much, so they have not become cunning, so many people do not understand the meaning of his words, and they think it is unlikely to be done. The opinions they put forward before, although passionate, are not reckless, knowing that the Li family is now completely supported by Li Zhirui alone. Although he has strong strength, there is only one Li Zhirui, and he is unable to split himself. The Li family alone cannot eliminate the demon cultivators in Qingshan province, so they said that they would make this matter public and summon many cultivators. Are you going to cooperate with Shenli Mountain? Li Shiqing heard it. Although the two families maintained a strange state of confrontation, if there is something that is beneficial to both families, then no one will refuse, just like the Take's secret realm. However, Li Shiqing guessed wrong about this partner. Li Zhirui shook his head and said, it's not Shenli Mountain, but Wuya sect and Shuling sect in Qanghe province. Everyone was stunned when they heard this, not to mention the elders. Even Li Shiqing and Li Shilian thought for a while before they remembered the two sects that Li Zhirui mentioned. Qanghe province, located in the south of Qingshan province, is an inland sea that was occupied by the human race and transformed. It is vast, but the land area is not large. Li Zhixuan once went to Qanghe province to train in order to seek an opportunity to break through the golden elixir. Li Zhirui also stayed in Qanghe province for a period of time because he helped Li Chengshua find the contracted spirit beast moon snake, so he knew Qanghe province a little better. The Wuya sect and Shuling sect have many things in common, such as being close to Qingshan province. They are both newly promoted Yuanying forces in the past few hundred years. Their strength is stronger than that of the Li family, but it is also limited. The most important thing is that there are some conflicts between the two families. Although I am not sure whether they will join forces to deal with the Li family for more land in the future, at least in the short term, it should not be very likely. After all, after taking over Qingshan province, they need to digest the territory, recuperate, and recover the losses in the war with the demons. These two things alone will take many years to solve. As Li Zhirui introduced, Li Shiqing nodded repeatedly, looking at Li Zhirui with amazement. Although he knew Li Zhirui was smart a long time ago, how could he not be amazed that he could come up with such a comprehensive plan in such a short time? The elders were even more shocked. They all knew that Li Zhirui had a very strong talent in cultivation and alchemy, but they never thought that he was so good at strategy. Go to Wuya sect and Shuling sect to discuss the matter of joining forces. Who are you going to let do it? It can only be Hixun and Chengru. Li Zhirui was also helpless. He had always asked them to do these things before, and now it is still the same. But there is no way. Li Zhirui was in seclusion, and Li Chenglin has just broken through. There are only 2 of them. Gather the clansmen now and start preparing for war. Li Zhirui told the elders of the family, don't make a big fuss for now, so as not to let Shenli Mountain know about the changes in Qingshan province, but to be honest, it is almost impossible to completely hide it from Shenli Mountain. After all, there will be so much noise after the war breaks out. Moreover, Qingshan province and Shenli Mountain are also bordering each other, but they are close to the territory of Mulingzong in the northeast. If Shenli Mountain knew about it, they would definitely be tempted. After all, the resources in the Qingshan Mountains are too rich, not to mention that there is a 3rd-level secret realm and several low-level secret realms in Qingshan province. It's just that they should know as late as possible, giving them less time to prepare. If they participate in it hastily, more monks will fall. As for the preparation of resources, Li Zhirui has never intervened. After all, in this regard, the elders have been tempered in actual combat, and they are professionals. Yes. The elders responded in unison, and then hurriedly left the hall. Not long after, Li Hixun and Li Chengru arrived. Now there is a very important task for you to complete. Li Zhirui briefly outlined their tasks, and then handed them a detailed jade slip, saying, the matter is urgent, so I won't say any more nonsense. If you have any questions, you can check the jade slip carefully on the way, just in case. Li Zhirui also gave them all the remaining 4th-level talismans he had. As long as they didn't encounter the kind of nascent soul that wanted to kill them, they would be safe. Chapter 500 Cooperation. In order to get to Canghai's Hao as soon as possible, Li Hixun and Li Chengru increased the speed of the spirit boat to the fastest, traveling day and night, taking turns to travel. Because of the special reasons of Qingshan's Hao, they can only take the sea route, and when passing through the sea area of Qingshan's Hao, they cannot get too close, otherwise they may be discovered by the demon cultivators, so Li Hixun and the others can only take a long detour. But doing so will encounter another problem. That is the endless water monsters in the boundless sea. From time to time, they will suddenly attack the spirit boat and interfere with their journey. If it is just a low-level water monster, it will not delay for a moment at most. Perhaps Li Hixun and Li Chengru are a little unlucky. Not long after entering the sea area of Qingshan's Hao, they encountered a team of water monsters. Surrounded by more than a dozen low-level water monsters, sitting on an exquisite jade treasure car is a 3rd-level water monster. To be more precise, it should be a water monster with dragon blood. On its left and right sides, the semi-human water monster that looks like it is protecting it is also 3rd level. Especially the one on the left, the aura was restrained and heavy, and it was a 3rd-level late-stage water demon. You two, since you and I have met in this vast ocean, it is also fate. Why don't we come down and have a chat? Bailang River shouted with sudden interest. Thank you for your invitation, my elders and I have something to do. We will meet again in the future. Li Chengru didn't want to get involved with him, and immediately drove the spirit boat and rushed to the south. Your Highness, do you want to catch up? A servant asked respectfully. No need. Bailang River shook his head and suddenly asked, are these 2 people from the north? Yes, they should be Li family monks, although they couldn't recognize who was who except Li Zhirui. But for the demon clan, there is a very easy way to identify the Li family monks, that is, they have a strong aura of demon beasts. After all, they are together day and night every day, more intimate than relatives, so the aura of demon beasts is naturally strong. Bailang River always felt that things were not that simple, so he immediately said, let's go back and have someone check the latest news about those human forces. Okay, Your Highness. Zhuanggu, how long will it take to get to Canghai's Hao? Li Hixun glanced at the map and said, we'll be there soon. When the time comes, we'll go find Shulingman first and then visit Wu Aishan. They knew that they could complete the task assigned by Li Zhirui faster by splitting up, but the problem was that they only had one copy of the identity certificate and the letter written by Li Zhirui, and they couldn't separate them. Shulingman, located on a peninsula, is a very magical sect. When the 2 wanted to visit the mountain, they were told that the number of visitors today was full. Without an invitation, they would not be allowed in, even if they revealed their identities and cultivation. And the magical thing about it is that no matter who you are, as long as you are not a demon cultivator and have not betrayed the human race, you can join Shulingman. However, There are only 10 places to enter the mountain every day, and no matter how high your cultivation is, you can only start as an outer disciple after entering. Auntie Juan. What should we do now? Li Zhirui frowned and thought for a while, then said, let's fight outside, using the moves with the biggest spiritual fluctuations. But be careful not to run into the Shuling sect's mountain protection formation, otherwise I'm afraid I won't be able to explain it when the time comes. Since they can't get in, let the Shuling sect's cultivators come out. Good idea. So, the two of them started fighting back and forth not far away. Whether it was fierce or not is another matter, but the spiritual fluctuations were indeed very huge, making people think that a small-scale war had broken out. Soon, a giant cultivator flew out from the mountain and landed in front of Li Zhirui and the others. He asked with a bad look on his face, my two Taoist friends, if you want to compete, please go a little further away. I'm sorry to trouble you, but the situation is urgent and we can't get in, so we can only resort to this. Li Zhirui, this is Li Changru, we are from the Li family of Banyan Island in the north. Li Zhirui spoke more directly, do you want the territory of Qingshan province? This is not a place to talk, my two Taoist friends, please follow me. Soon, the two entered a hall where more than a dozen Jindan elders were sitting. This is the number of Jindan that a Yuanying force should have. The deformity of the Li family is simply a strange flower. Are you planning to attack Qingshan province? That's right. Li Chengru gave a detailed introduction to the current situation of Qingshan province, which immediately aroused exclamations and disbelief. How did the demon cultivators do it? The demon cultivators actually have such a hidden and strange method. Maybe there is also such a situation in the sect now. In fact, many elders understood this, but because there were outsiders present, it was not convenient to say it. As a result, a somewhat reckless elder said it bluntly. Okay, the head of the sect shouted and asked, two Taoists, I wonder how the territory will be divided after taking over Qingshan province? Are there any other forces involved? Whoever snatches the territory from the demon cultivators will own it. Wuai Mountain has agreed. Here, the Li family played a word game. The premise is snatching it from the demon cultivators, but Lingayan sect is not a demon sect, which means that as long as all the demon cultivators are driven out, the large piece of Lingayan sect's territory will all belong to the Li family. As for other forces, Wuai Mountain will also get involved. The crowd did not react too much, but directly discussed with Li Zhirui about the time to take action. After several hours, the two left and headed to Wuai Mountain in the north. Wuai Mountain was not so strange. They just sent someone in to inform them. Not long after, the two of them went in and reached a successful cooperation. The main reason why Wuai Mountain and Shulingmen agreed was their desire for land. Only with spiritual fields can more spiritual objects be planted and various subsequent cultivation techniques can be carried out. Not to mention that Qingshan state is already rich in resources. With this help, their development speed can be faster. Dad, Qingshan state. As soon as Li Changshuo returned to Banyan Island, he hurriedly found Li Zhirui, but he was interrupted as soon as he opened his mouth. Come back? I already know about the matter. You go back and rest first. Or you can wait for Shenzhe. Li Zhirui was not sure whether he would have the opportunity to take action, but he still had to prepare what he should prepare, so he didn't have time to talk to Li Changshuo now. After listening, Li Changshuo was puzzled. He couldn't understand why Li Zhirui knew it, and he also contacted Li Changshen. With a lot of questions in his mind, he waited for Li Changshen to come back at the gate of the clan. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.